if right after they do that, the Eagles then do that, go to 3 of 4 Super Bowls and win 2. And talk about, and then they would spend the entire offseason saying that the Eagles are now the next dynasty because they've won back-to-back. They lost to the Chiefs a couple of years ago, but they've been to 3 of 4. Now they have a chance to three-peat the way the Chiefs did. That's done now. They lost the Super Bowl, lost in the first round of the playoffs, won the Super Bowl, lost in the first round of the playoffs, may fire their coach. Who knows? Sirianni has another sideline altercation interaction with A.J. Brown, who was right there and was ready for the smoke and was right back at him.
A.J. Brown can never complain about anything ever again after those drops in that game. And by the way, why the hell was Big Dom, their security guard, wearing a headset? Is he the next in line for Nick Sirianni? Is he going to be the new? Hey, no wonder their offense is so bad. He's apparently calling plays.
Yeah. So we'll talk about some of those things that we saw. Rough weekend for the local college basketball teams. That was a tough Saturday.
Early kicking the stones.
Early afternoon to early evening for all 3 of the teams. We'll talk a little bit about what we've seen from that. We are so quick, sports fans, whatever it is, to move on to the next great thing that we start to forget the basis of comparison for that next great thing. We'll talk about what that means. NIL completely, or continues, maybe not completely, but NIL continues to change the landscape of the NFL draft and what it means for some of these teams. And there are some Chiefs, I think, implications, connections, impact to a degree of decisions that were made over the weekend by a couple of defensive linemen from Oregon. Day 2 picks, potential early day 2 picks, both returning to Oregon, both defensive linemen, edge and defensive tackle, that are heading back to Oregon that could be in the NFL draft this year, where the Chiefs need edge and defensive tackle. Early second round they would be drafting, and what that does is take 2 players away from that pool, which pushes all the other players up, so teams that needed that are now selecting from a smaller pool of maybe potentially difference-making players, which makes it more difficult to find those guys in a year where you've got higher draft picks and you're in need of sort of throwing a blanket, an umbrella, throwing numbers at particular problems that the Chiefs have.
So I think there's a really easy reason why these guys are going back when they might be NFL draft picks.
Yeah, it's
you know,
easy.
you know what the easy reason is? You went to college.
Education.
No, you went to college, right?
Girls.
And now you get paid.
Okay, girls and money.
Girls and money.
Girls and booze, booze and girls, girls and booze. You know what I mean?
I mean, it was already a tough decision for some of these guys. Like, do I go pro or do I stay in college one more year? And they're like, that's tough. Wait, we're going to pay. I'm going to make money and I get to stay in La La Land for another year? Yeah, I will choose that.
I'm going to get maybe 75% of the 4-year contract I'll get as a rookie. I'm going to get 75% of that in 1 year?
And beers are $1.50 max?
Wow, okay, I guess.
And then I'm in New York and they're 15? I mean, this is just simple math here. This is just...
Oh, the math is simple, but it does change the calculus for the Chiefs.
Correct.
And we'll talk about that as it moves forward, and we'll talk a little bit about that with Price Carter coming up at noon from Arrowhead Addict, who does a great job covering the Chiefs and covers the draft as well. But it's overall sort of Chiefs conversation this offseason, what they need to do, what they need to focus on. Yes, the draft is part of that, but as we've seen in the past, the draft and free agency are married to where the Chiefs take a Jalen or sign Jalen Moore, which then allows them to go a couple of different places, and then Josh Simmons is there, and they draft him as well, and you add some depth to that position. If Josh Simmons wasn't there, then obviously signing Jalen Moore would have been that he was your left tackle. I wonder if they're going to do that with running back, not in the first round, but if there's a signing of a running back, a drafting of a running back, do they choose either or? Do they go both? We'll talk about some of those things and more with Price Carter, Arrowhead Addict. Mick Schaefer joins us at 1 o'clock, KSHB 41 Sports Director. A little learn, funniest, best from the 3 2/4 of us when Mick joins us. We'll talk about all of those things. And, of course, tonight, 6 o'clock, Hawk Talk with Bill Self. And then 7 o'clock, we start our coverage of Texans and Steelers, the final game of the weekend, of the wild card weekend, to see who the New England Patriots will be playing, because we know the Denver Broncos are hosting on Saturday the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen, and we know the New England Patriots on Sunday will be hosting either C.J. Stroud and the Texans or Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's going to be, Michael, is that a Sunday because of, a couple of years? Last year there was a Saturday and Sunday. Is it it's a Sunday, Saturday type thing? So we'll talk about all of the playoffs and things like that moving forward. 913-912-4810 is the text line. You can listen on the stream, 103.7 FM, Sports Radio 810 WHB. Let's talk about what we saw from the weekend. And also I wanted to point out Indiana's quickly getting the Chiefs treatment, maybe. Oh, and the 49ers have been exposed to 1.21 gigawatts. And apparently that's a big deal now.
The press conference about the injuries and stuff?
Maybe, but 1.21 gigawatts. That's a big deal.
Is that how you say that word?
Great Scott!
I thought it was gigawatts.
No, it's gigawatts based on Back to the Future. And Doc! Come on, Doc!
I was being serious, and I didn't know. I realize now that you were making a bit. I get it.
That's fine. It's all good, man.
I should know better.
Somebody 10 years older would have been. Did you know that today is the Back to the Future day that they went to, as said about 1,000 different days?
There's so many days.
Was that
there are more days than there are
this
days in a year.
Day?
They actually added days.
Yes. Let's talk about the playoffs, and let's start with the game that I think you and I and Michael and Mick had differing opinions on. I picked the Jags to go to the Super Bowl because I thought they were playing the best football in the AFC. And the team that worried me the most was the Bills. And I thought if they get past the Bills at home, I don't think there's a team that's as good as the Jags. The way the Jags can run the ball, what Jacoby Myers and Parker Washington have done for that offense, the defense, having the secondary that they have, the linebackers that they have, and then Walker and Hines Allen. I liked what the Jags were built for, and Trevor Lawrence has played better football and is running the football and is doing a lot of different things to help that team get to this position. And so if we look at a playoffs, that it would be Drake May and Bo Nix and Justin Herbert and C.J. Stroud and teams like that, and then Josh Allen. If they got past the Bills, I liked the Jags to go to the Super Bowl. The reason I didn't pick the Bills is because it would be 3 games on the road.
Sure.
And while Josh Allen is the best quarterback remaining, that's tough to do. Even the Chiefs' greatest run that we've seen in postseason history, according to DVOA, where they had to play the Dolphins, the Bills, the Ravens, and the 49ers, at least one of those games was at home against the Dolphins. Yeah. The Bills, all 3 games, are going to be now on the road because the Chargers lost. So that will not be a game where they will have another one at Highmark Stadium before it is torn down. It's the reason why I didn't go Bills, is because I thought the task was difficult when there's some good teams, and the Bills are clearly a flawed team.
Sure. To me, this was where I was actually in agreement, where I think I was on the Bills side, but I thought if you get past the Jags, that might be the hardest game.
Was the Bills-Jags game for the Super Bowl out of the AFC?
Yeah, week 1 wild card round. Let's really go ahead and say that.
The first AFC game played in the wild card was for the Lamar Hunt Trophy.
But I thought that this was the worst matchup maybe for the Bills.
And I thought the same thing with the Jags.
And we somewhat saw it come to fruition of why I thought and why I picked the Bills. What it comes down to is the Jags are the better team overall, just top. But they might have 2 to 53.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But Josh Allen is the clear-cut one, and that was the difference in this one. It's not like the Bills have a whole bunch of weapons they're throwing to, and you saw some injuries. Gabe Davis went down early and relatively early with an injury in this one, but he's throwing to Brandon Cooks, who 6 years ago, outstanding.
Week 13 acquisition, Brandon Cooks.
Tyrell Shavers, Khalil Shakur is a good player. Keon Coleman, who I think we've all agreed now is somewhat a bust. He's been healthy scratches a lot this season, but he does have James Cook, which he was bottled up in this one because we saw the number one rush defense versus one of the better running backs in this game.
Yeah.
The rush defense of the Jags was electric, so it became Josh Allen, save us, and Josh Allen saved them.
Yeah, and to your point about the Bills and my point about the Jags and Bills and why I like the Jags side of it outside of Josh Allen is that the Bills are one of the worst rush defenses in the league, and the Jags have been running the football really well with Etienne and Tootin, and then as Trevor Lawrence has been doing that as well. Getting past the Jags for the Bills, there's not another team that runs it as well as the Jags run it. So to your point about the Bills, I thought this was also the toughest matchup for them in the game or in the playoffs because it's the best running team against their biggest weakness, which is stopping the run. And the Jags stopping the run, which is one of the biggest strengths of the Bills, which is being able to rely on James Cook and Josh Allen still do the things that he does. We'll see moving forward what they look like next weekend against the Broncos on the road, but it will be yet another road game for the Bills to where the better overall team seems to be on the other side.
Yeah.
But Josh Allen is on your side. And how many years have we said, Sterling, well, number 15's over there, and I'm not picking against number 15. And I picked against Allen in this one, and I'm not going to do it this weekend. I'm not going to go against Josh Allen this weekend because we saw what he did when push comes to shove. Look, he's 0-4 against the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. He's 8-2 versus everyone else. And one of those losses was his first ever playoff game on the road in Houston. The other one was that snowy game where the Cincinnati Bengals in 2022 came to town and won that game, and then the Chiefs hosted the Bengals with the revenge game, won, and then beat the Eagles. Those are the two losses that Josh Allen and Sean McDermott and the Bills have suffered in the postseason when they haven't played the Chiefs.
Yeah.
They are 8-0 in every other game. And by the way, for all of the talk about Sean McDermott as a boob and should be fired, when Matt LaFleur keeps skating by and John Harbaugh was skating by, this is the 6th straight year that the Bills have won a playoff game with Sean McDermott as head coach, with Josh Allen.
That's impressive.
So, I mean, we talk about, McDermott's got to go. Is he holding him back? This is a big one because is Sean McDermott holding him back, or was the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes an obstacle that no team outside of the Bengals one time could get through if your name isn't Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes' first year as a starter?
I think what we saw was, again, the better quarterback in almost every matchup winning. Stafford over Bryce Young, clearly. Purdy over Hurts. I think at this point, at least this year in particular, that's correct. Purdy is better than Hurts. Caleb Williams over Love, I think.
That was interesting because I think Love played a really good game for the most part in that.
Caleb Williams
Caleb Williams in the fourth quarter.
He blossomed into something I didn't think he was going to be. And maybe that's a testament to Ben Johnson more than anything else that could be. But I think that was maybe a 50-50 one. Drake May versus Herbert this year. Drake May has been better than Herbert. But
MVP, player.
However you want to view those two, that was almost a wash at quarterback, I think. But clearly then Josh Allen over Lawrence. Again, this is what we've seen for decades now. Every once in a while you'll have the Trent Dilfers and you'll have the exceptions.
Flacco beating Tom Brady.
Eli Manning a couple times. Like, you'll have the exceptions. But traditionally we know in Kansas City prior to Patrick what it was like. You might have the better team, but you don't have the quarterback. And then we've seen the switch. The Chiefs have had Patrick and maybe not the better team, but they found ways. And I think so far that's why, again, I like the Bills going in the AFC. It's why in the NFC I said Rams because I'm just going to go with Matt Stafford. It's why later on when we talk about Monday Night Football, the final game, I'll have some thoughts on that one because, again, I think it's the better quarterback, a little intriguing.
Well, it's interesting. The better quarterback historically and through their careers is on the black and gold side, or black and yellow, while if we're just looking at how they're playing this year, is the better quarterback on the Texans side? We'll find out. Or are the other things good enough to overcome the better quarterback? Like the reason I like the Seahawks over the Rams is that the Seahawks have so many other things, and they are 3 for 3 as the 1 seed in going to the Super Bowl. I mean, that's tough to. It's difficult to go into that stadium and win when they are built for defense and running the ball and a quarterback that's good enough to get it done in other places. That's what they were in the past with Russ. that's what they are again this year. And I think Mike Macdonald has proven that he's a pretty damn good coach. And so there's still some fascinating games to be played. The Chiefs are not a part of it, which was an interesting weekend in just watching it without a rooting interest to see what was the better matchup for the Chiefs, but rooting so hard for the 49ers yesterday that my wife went, why are you like cheering so hard for the 49ers? Like, do you have money on this game? I'm like, no, I don't. And then I explained. I said, look, it's been 2 decades since a team won back-to-back Super Bowls, and the Chiefs were the ones that broke that. It will be very annoying and frustrating, and I think some, kinks in the armor to a degree of the dynasty if the Eagles then go back-to-back and go to 3 or 4 Super Bowls and win back-to-back and spend the offseason saying we are the new dynasty. That would suck, and I don't want to have to deal with that. So if the 49ers take care of business right now, boom, done, I can rest easy the rest of the playoffs. And that Juwan Jennings to Christian McCaffrey was a pretty loud yell.
That was
for me
amazing. What a throw, getting drilled, running to your right. What a catch by McCaffrey.
I didn't realize this. This could have been somebody's learned. It might be my learned still. I didn't realize Juwan Jennings was a 5-star dual-threat quarterback coming out of high school.
Yeah, that makes sense when you saw that throw.
Yeah,
that was ridiculous.
It was pretty good. But I was rooting pretty hard for the 49ers, and that was my experience over the weekend, was just watching great games.
Yeah.
And rooting against the Eagles, rooting for some teams that friends have emotional and fan connections to, and now rooting against the Broncos this weekend.
So, real quick, with the Rams-Panthers.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I forgot about that game.
That game was insane.
It was insane.
What a game.
But it happened first, and it was like, oh, what a great game. Let's move on to the next one.
It was a crazy weekend. If they're not going to use Dowdle and Leggett, just give him to KC. I'll take Xavier Leggett and Rico Dowdle in Kansas City if you're not going to use them.
If I was the Chiefs, I would be investigating and looking into why Dowdle was the guy for so long and then lost his job to Chuba down the stretch, and Dowdle got 4 carries, and they went back to Chuba, who lost his job to Dowdle. What happened there? Were they going the hot hand, or did Dowdle do some things that other teams weren't expecting, and then they saw his particular running style, what he was doing, and they adjusted to that, so the Panthers went back to Chuba Hubbard? I would want to know why it was Chuba, calf injury, Dowdle explodes on the scene, one of the better running backs, and how quickly they went back to Chuba was really surprising to me.
And my big takeaway is, if you're the Panthers, do you feel comfortable moving forward with Bryce Young being the guy?
Do you feel comfortable moving forward with Dave Canales being the guy when, you made the playoffs, but you made the playoffs at 8 and 9?
And this is what's hard. And you could have easily sent this game to overtime if Jimmy Horn, I think, makes that catch. It wasn't the best throw you're going to find, but you got to make that catch.
Make that catch.
You got to make that catch.
Plus, you're going to get out of bounds.
Yeah, that was
the clock.
But so Bryce Young has had such an inconsistent season. I think you even saw it as a microcosm of this game.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I've seen a lot on. And do you feel comfortable with Bryce Young? You're going to have a decision to make. Or is this Daniel Jones with the Giants, where you do see the great, you do see the bad, and it's all in one, and you give him that contract, and it doesn't work out because he's not worth that? Is this the Trevor Lawrence contract? What do you do? Well, I'm intrigued to see if the Panthers are going to follow in the footsteps of the Jaguars, what they did with Daniel Jones, to an extent Sam Darnold. Are they going to go that route?
Yeah.
Or are they going to be one of the first teams that say, hey, you know what? We think you're a fine quarterback, but you're not an elevator.
Yeah.
We are going to move on,
and
maybe a team will trade for you. I think this Bryce Young situation is going to be fascinating to see play out.
Well, what's rough now moving forward, this time last year, or I should say this time 11 months ago, because after the Super Bowl for the Chiefs, this time last year we were talking about getting ready to play the Houston Texans in the divisional round, knowing what that matchup was going to be. And the rematch about that is our discussion this time last year after the Monday, the wild card weekend. But once the season was over, this time last year when we were running about offensive line and left tackle, I presented the scenario of them trading their first-round pick for Ike Ekwonu, the left tackle for the Panthers that they picked up the 5th-year option. That was the offseason where they would have signed him to a long-term deal. yet they didn't sign him to a long-term deal last year. They were playing through the fifth-year option, and it was like, going into the draft, it was a question about Josh Simmons. You signed Jalen Moore, but it's a 2-year deal. Are you willing to give up your first-rounder for Ike Ekwonu, a younger, ascending left tackle that there's evidence already on the field that, one, you would trade for him, you would then have to pay him, but you would then say we're exchanging the money from Jawan Taylor his last year, and now we're going to have Ike on the left side and Jalen Moore on the right side. Well, what happens now the Panthers moving forward is Ike ruptured his patellar tendon in the first quarter of that game. He's going into his fifth-year option.
Yeah.
And he ruptures his patellar in January. That's brutal. So now the Panthers are going into the season with Bryce Young without their young ascending left tackle that they were going to pay this offseason. That's what sucks for him, is they were going to pay him this offseason. There is no reason for them to pay him because what's he going to do? Sit out? What's he going to do? Hold out and not show up to training camp because he wants a contract and now you got to go through that?
Yeah.
He's going to be out most of the season anyway. And so you've got a real decision you have to make. Do you have to now look left tackle in the draft because that was a guy you were going to sign long-term and have your left tackle taken care of? These are things that are happening now. The 49ers have to look tight end. If moving forward, it's like, okay, well, George Kittle continues to be injured, and now he ruptured his Achilles in January.
I feel so bad because I don't want to do it because I like George Kittle a lot. I really like George Kittle.
I like him a lot. I just don't like him when it comes to the 49ers fans acting like Kittle is better than Kelce.
And this is why I feel so bad saying it because he just got injured again. But the key word is again. And every time we talk about Kittle versus Kelce, and Niners fans are like, but blocking. Well, how about availability?
Yes.
How about a guy who can play every single game, or at least most of them? And I feel so bad because I hate it because this is a serious injury, and I hope he gets better and all of this, and I hope he comes back.
Was brought to tears post-game talking about it,
And I like
and
George
Kittle.
Playing.
Yes. they're still alive.
And I like George Kittle. It's the fans that make me almost have this ire. Can we at least have the conversation and realization of, great, he's a great blocker, but the availability has been lacking.
When he's available, he's a dynamite tight end. Travis Kelce, after his rookie year, has missed one game to injury. And that was when he had the bone bruise against the Lions 2 days before the season opener a couple of years ago. And he missed that one game. The other games he's missed, he sat out because they rested him. And he's a tight end. And he does block. George Kittle's blocking ability does not rise to the level of so far an extreme better than Travis Kelce's blocking ability that it makes up for the receiving ability and availability from Kelce to even begin to talk about George Kittle and Travis Kelce. And anybody that's smart enough to watch knows that that's not a real conversation. But I really like George Kittle, too. I'm with you. He was fun in Tahoe.
Awesome.
He didn't have to give us 3 or 4 minutes, and he gave us 10. He was like, I got 3 minutes real quick. Then he sat down there, and he just sat for 10 minutes, and he wasn't acting like he was rushed or saying, I got to go. He was just sitting there chilling and hanging out. Then that 3 minutes turned into him being done, and then, Bethany, talking to him on video for a little bit, too. Like, he was cool as hell, and it's not just that I root for him. He seems like a really cool dude, and he seems like a good dude. But he's injured too often, and this is unfortunate. And when you're exposed to 1.21 gigawatts, apparently, that starts to take the collagen away from, his tendons and things like that. I don't know. There's people that are smarter than I that can go in and break that stuff down, which we may get into the conspiracy theories that are out there. Whether it's a conspiracy theory or not, or it's actually real, I would wonder and hope the 49ers would be doing their investigation as to what's going on with that. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. I want to talk about Trevor Lawrence on the other side and Josh Allen, obviously. I want to talk about the Bears and Packers. These coaches that had early success, that were the next wunderkind offensive minds, that are now getting benefits of the doubt moving forward. We'll talk about that because while Caleb Williams was part of the story, the Packers had one of the worst game management endings, last 4 or 5 minutes, that I've watched in the playoffs in a long time. And for some reason that isn't necessarily being talked about as to all of the different things that happened. And the Justin Herbert defense last night is missing the overall point when people compare it to Patrick Mahomes. We'll talk about that next as well. More Zone. Playoff time, playoff time, playoff time. I may have been a little wrong on the Jags winning, but you know what I was right about? Trevor Lawrence is over in rushing yards. I was all over that last week. I said Trevor Lawrence is running the ball at a higher degree than he's ever done it in his career, and he's going up against one of the worst rushing defenses in the league. His over-under was 23.5, and he ended up with 31. I had him at an alternate line of 30. Thank you for the extra yard rushing there, Trevor Lawrence. But I also was all over Josh Allen because this is when he puts on his Superman cape. These are the things that you look at in the past and see what can happen in the future. That's how you win. Let's go. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, makes every moment feel bigger. And in the postseason, the game shifts fast. And with DraftKings live betting options, you can stay right in the moment, make every moment matter this NFL postseason with DraftKings. Plus, DraftKings has your back with early exit protection. We just got through talking about George Kittle. If the player in your eligible NFL prop bet goes down at any point in the first half, you still get paid in cash if you had that last night and you had Kittle a part of that. They just eliminate George Kittle as a part of your parlay, and they pay out the rest of it. With DraftKings, you're covered through the entire half. Why bet player props anywhere else when they would not have voided that out? New customers, here's your shot. Bet just $5, and if that bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use code 810WHB. That's code 810WHB to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility and restrictions apply. Must win to receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Additional terms at dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy heading up until 2 o'clock. I wanted to talk about the Packers game and the Packers and Bears game, which was an amazing game, right? And the fourth quarter was brilliance by the Bears, and Caleb Williams with his 4th down and 8 throw that was Mahomes-esque that we can get into.
This game was the equivalent almost of the Royals wild card game.
You know, that's a really good comparison.
Where all of a sudden you give up the 3-run home run. The Royals were down 7-3.
7-3.
In the 7th inning.
Ace home run.
And you're sitting here going, well, this is over. The crowd's out of it. You go, oh my gosh, what are we doing? And then all of a sudden you see the furious comeback that turns into the exuberation of all the fans, the exhilaration of everyone who's involved on the home team side. Yep. And maybe I'm wrong, but it went from despair to joyous very quick for the Bears.
Yeah, until the 3 o'clock game, which was that wasn't Bears Pack. What was the game yesterday that was at 3 o'clock?
That was the
49ers-Eagles.
49ers-Eagles,
oh,
yes. Yeah, until the 49ers-Eagles game, the team that was leading with 2 minutes to play in the playoffs lost all 3 games.
Wow.
The team that was leading. So the Rams-Panthers, Bears-Packers, and Bills-Jags. Rams, Bears, and Bills were all trailing with 2 minutes to go in the game, and they won. And the Eagles were driving with the ball while trailing under 2 minutes to go. And then, of course, that was broken last night with the good games with the Patriots, just dominant performance over the Chargers. But the Matt LaFleur conversation, and the Packers have put out by, many different national reporters tweeting the same thing. So they send out the mass text with the blind copy on all of them, so it acts like they're just sending it to that person. But it's the Packers and Matt LaFleur working on an extension, working on to keep him as the Green Bay Packers coach. There were so many things that happened in this game, and I want to go through them. And this may take a little bit, but this is how bad the final 3 minutes were in that game. They were up 27-24 with the ball, with 3 minutes to go, and the Bears had 1 timeout left. It was 2nd down and 10. They're in field goal range. They throw the ball deep to the end zone. People complain about pass interference or not. I thought it was a good no call. If I were a Packers fan, I'd probably be pissed about it and say that rose to the level. As an unbiased observer just watching the game, I thought, you know what, I'm probably going to let that one slide too. But they throw the ball deep to the end zone in sort of an all-or-nothing play, which means 2 things. 1, the Bears don't have to use their last timeout.
Correct.
2, it's now 3rd and 10. Instead of taking some yards, they are setting up an easier 3rd down. So, 3rd down and 10. They call a timeout before 3rd down. They come out after the timeout, and they commit a delay of game penalty. Yeah. Because they can't call back-to-back timeouts. So they have to take a delay of game out of a timeout on 3rd and 10, which moves them 5 yards back. So now it's a 44-yard field goal. On 3rd and 15, they throw yet another ball to the end zone to Romeo Doubs, only this one was thrown out of bounds.
Yeah.
And it's 3rd and 15. Again, Bears retain a timeout. Then they miss the 44-yard field goal. Now, obviously, missing the field goal is not something that Matt LaFleur planned on. But had you taken some things underneath, run the clock, use their last timeout, maybe made it easier in a gusty, windy stadium?
You knew that the field goal is not a guarantee.
Because he's already missed a couple already in the game. Like that was, you went into the end zone twice on that. So you missed the field goal. Then on defense, after a 1st down by Chicago, you've got multiple guys with like 11 seconds to go on the play clock. Chicago's running a little bit of a hurry up. So they get up there, the clock sets to 40 seconds. There's 11 seconds on the play clock, meaning 29 seconds have ticked off. And now you're still running guys on and off the field, which means you burn a timeout. Mm-hmm. So you burn a timeout. because you have 10 men on the field. You've got 3 guys running on and off, and then at 10 seconds left, another guy runs off to leave you with 10, and you burn a timeout. Now you're down 31-27, okay? They go down and score. You're down 31-27. 3rd and 3. Romeo Doubs makes an 8-yard catch with 44 seconds left in the game. You've got 1 timeout left because you burned that one. You burned the one on 3rd and 10 and then got to delay a game. You burned the one when you had 10 guys on the field, when you had multiple guys running in and out because you weren't organized. You also took a delay a game after that first timeout because you weren't organized. 3rd and 3. You've got 1 timeout left. Romeo Doubs makes a catch for 8 yards on 3rd and 3. There's 46 seconds left. You've got 1 timeout. You're about midfield. You call your last timeout. It's an 8-yard pass. That's the time to go up and spike it.
Yeah.
The downs are not your enemy anymore. The clock is your enemy. They are playing to keep you from scoring a touchdown. 10 yards on 3 plays should not be an issue with Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur's offensive mind.
Correct.
But you call your last timeout. If that was a 25-yard play, boom, timeout.
Sure, get it.
It's 8 yards. Everybody's right there. So now you're out of timeouts. Literally the next play, they throw a 25-yard pass down the middle. No timeouts. Their offensive lineman is hurt. No timeouts. 10-second runoff. Now it's 22 seconds left, no timeouts, where it could be 32 seconds left in the same spot. Now, you've got 3 plays left in the game. You don't even get to a 4th down. That last play was 3rd down.
Yeah.
You don't even get to a 4th down on that because you burn that. You burned 2 timeouts unnecessarily. Then you burned a timeout when you should have just spiked it. You threw the ball twice to the end zone on 2nd down and 3rd and 10 when the Bears had 1 timeout left, and you were at a 44-yard field goal in that wind. Like, that alone would tell me I need to move on from Matt LaFleur. In that game, you put yourself in that position up 21-3. And when it came down to decisions that are made by being organized, well coached in the place you're supposed to be, guys know who's on the field, or packages on defense, on offense, the play gets in after a timeout, yet you still have a delay of game after a timeout. That is all coaching. That's all coaching. Hey, it's 3rd and 10. Let's not take a 1 shot to the end zone. Let's work the middle. Make them use their last timeout, set up something easier. Maybe we even pick up a 1st down. But let's get a little bit closer here. Well, at that point, it was 3rd and 15 because you picked up the delay of game, which made it even more imperative to try to get some of those yards back. So they're gonna hire, or they're gonna keep Matt LaFleur. Matt LaFleur in his career is 3-6 in the playoffs. He's got 1 playoff win in the last 5 years for the Packers. 1 playoff win in 5 years. He's 3-6 in the playoffs, and he will always have on his resume, against the Bucs, 4th and goal from the 8-yard line, down 8 points with 2 minutes to play, and you kicked a field goal.
Yeah.
And you lost to the Bucs by 5 because you didn't get the ball back.
He is
with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, by the way, and you kicked the field goal.
To me, I think he's the best example of a great OC and a bad head coach.
He's gotten his team
coordinator.
He's gotten his team to the position.
Head coach.
He's gotten them there, though, Sterling, but haven't been able to overcome those things. They keep losing in the playoffs.
And again, I think some of it is not all his fault. Obviously, there's always going to be nuance to this conversation, but at some point, he's the common denominator of poor decisions that the head coach is the one making these decisions. Mm-hmm. Yeah, McManus missed a 44-yarder in an extra point. 55-yarder, I'm not going to hold against him.
Yeah, if you make the 44-yarder, the Bears go down, score a touchdown. You're not having to score a touchdown at the end. You're in position, and a field goal wins it at that point.
And it wins the game, and if you have the extra point and the field goal, then this would have been tied even if they did all of this. So
right.
I get it. It's not all on him. But you do have a quarterback throw for 323, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, and you lose. Great offensive mind. Great play calls early in the game. But the collapse it's what cost Brandon Staley his job.
Yeah,
to an extent. When you collapse this bad in a fourth quarter, so many things you have to do that are idiotic. So many things that you have to do that are, you're trying to be these. I thought those throws to the end zone were just absurd. Now, I get it. That's what Jordan Love does.
And maybe Matt LaFleur is like, Jordan, what are you doing? But if he did that on 2nd and 10, you called a timeout before 3rd and 10.
Yeah.
At that point, you're going, let's work the middle or something here. Don't just take a shot that you're trying to throw it into a window in the end zone with Dobbs with a man on his hip in phase and a safety over the top.
And I want to give a huge shout-out in this game, by the way, to Cairo Santos, former Chief.
Shout out Cairo.
Cairo's done a great job.
The reason number 15 is so iconic now.
Honestly, those
number 5 would be amazing in this town if it wasn't for Cairo Santos. It'd be Patrick Mahomes rocking number 5.
Santos was really, really impressive with that wind.
Yes.
And he has been in Chicago for a while because you need a kicker. He's not the longest leg. We know that. Even that 51-yarder, he gives it everything he has on that. He is not going to be a long guy. He's not Brandon Aubrey or Cam Little.
He's not a grower and a shower. You know what I mean?
But that dog is accurate. With the wind, he knows how to play the wind in Chicago extremely well.
Yeah, yep.
And so I want to give a shout out to Cairo Santos with McManus on the other side. Perplexed by the wind, Santos had no issue at all.
I couldn't believe how awful that game was managed in the last 3 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
2 timeouts that were unnecessary. You get a delay a game after a timeout. You call a timeout on an 8-yard pass. And you're in a position to where now you've got to score a touchdown. It was rough. I'm moving on from that guy at that point. Now,
I will say this: the issue.
What's the issue?
9 teams have fired their head coach.
I know. Yes, that is rough.
It's not a great coaching cycle.
Yep. But are you gonna bring LaFleur back for 2 or 3 years? But go ahead.
This would be a 1 year. To me, this is you get 1 more year, man. You get 1 more year.
And while they say that they are working on a contract, Matt LaFleur's agent can be reaching out to other teams. If the Packers are saying we're going to give you 1 more year, but other teams are saying we will sign Matt LaFleur, we will hire him right now.
4-year deal.
We'll go through the Rooney Rule, but we're hiring Matt LaFleur right now. Don't agree to the 1-year contract in Green Bay. He'll be our coach. Now you get a 3 or 4 year deal. Reset the shot clock. That could be the case. We'll see. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. Coming up at noon, we'll hang out with Price Carter, Arrowhead Addict, get his thoughts on this Chiefs offseason, where they may need to go in terms of personnel, coaching staff, draft picks, things like that. We'll also talk in the next hour about some of the NIL stuff, how it is changing the landscape of the NFL draft. And I want to get into, at the top of the 11 o'clock hour, the Justin Herbert criticisms / excuses that invoke Patrick Mahomes but are completely missing the point on that. So I also think as well that this was one of my 4 learns of the weekend, is that
good for you for learning a lot.
I know, man. I decided to pick up, there are these things called books out there that have like words and stuff in them, top to bottom, left to right, reading. Crazy. I picked one of those up and then I downloaded it on my iPad. I actually can't read on the Kindle. I hate it. I hate reading on the device. I've got to have.
It's got to be a physical book.
I've got to have the physical. How do you do it, Sterling?
I'm physical book. Anyone that says that they use Kindles,
I hate it.
I have nothing against them. That's
if they do it, they do it.
But I can't do it. I can't pay attention. The light hurts my eyes. It doesn't have the same feel to it. Mm-hmm. When you feel a good book, you feel the heft, the weight in your hands,
the thickness in your hand. You feel it, how smooth it is sometimes. The smell in your hands. It's everything is awesome, dude. We had a baseball practice on Friday. We go through our winter workouts with the baseball team, and one of the kids that were that's moving to catcher, and his off season included an entire new set of catcher's gear, including one of the nicer catcher's mitts, dude. And he had it there, and I was trying to help him break it in. So while he was playing third and other things and pitching, I was sitting there using the catcher's mitt. And if that was anything else, I would have been high, because I just had it up to my face, just smelling the brand new glove
Smells
the whole
so
time.
good.
Those things are so amazing, and it's kind of like a new book.
It's like smelling gas. It's not bad for you.
I agree.
Right?
Yes, it actually gets you going.
Or like markers.
Yeah, those things are fine.
Or
whippets and stuff like that. It's all good in the hood.
Wrong.
Yeah.
Well, maybe allegedly.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I wasn't
Kids,
there.
don't try this at home. We like an
Ask those 49ers doctors.
Does it take away the collagen in my tendons if I smell a brand new glove?
We need the Eminem disclaimer before the show. What was on the Marshall Mathers LP where it's kids, don't try this at home.
I like when Bears fans were tweeting about Ben Johnson that said, bleep the Packers, bleep those guys, I bleeping hate them, in the post game. And there was a Bears fan said, quote, what was it? Lombardi never cussed to when he won games, and they tweeted out a meme of Eminem, and it said, well, bleep him and bleep you too. Will Smith doesn't have to cuss in his records. Oh yeah, well I do, so bleep him and bleep you too.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, well Ben Johnson does, so bleep him and bleep you too.
Dude, this is also another conversation to have.
It's back, baby. Bears Packers is back
here in the NFC. Very clear. Best coaches moved on. McVay, Shanahan over Sirianni, clearly.
Yeah.
Ben Johnson over LaFleur.
Yeah, I think that's interesting.
AFC, I don't know.
Cohen and McDermott,
it's a little too early.
Yeah, but he had
Vrabel and Harbaugh.
But he had the quarterback advantage there.
Yeah, to me, the NFC was the one where you really noticed the coaching disparity.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting point. But that Packers-Bears rivalry is so back.
It's amazing. The cheese graters on the dome.
Yeah.
I love
it. Packers fans, really? Aaron Rodgers looked at Bears fans and said, I own you.
Yes.
And you're getting pissed off because Ben Johnson flyby handshake on Matt LaFleur?
If the Broncos, Raiders, and Chiefs ever became cordial, I would be so mad. It's like if the Missouri Tigers and the Kansas Jets, if I started writing KU with an uppercase K instead of a lowercase k, something's wrong.
Marty Schottenheimer hated the Raiders with a passion.
Yes!
It made it great around here. Ben Johnson hates the Packers with a passion. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy heading up until 2 o'clock. An hour from now, we will talk with Price Carter, Arrowhead Addict. 2 hours from now, we'll talk with Mick Schaefer, KSHB 41 Sports Director. 3 hours from now, you'll hear from Soren Petro.
4 hours from now, you will hear from
Soren Petro. That's right. 5 hours from now, you'll hear the 2-minute drill.
6 hours from now,
you'll hear, I think, Trent Green and Need to Know and the kicker. And 7 hours from now, you'll hear Hawk Talk with Bill Self.
But 8 hours from now,
Texans Steelers, baby.
Yeah.
Texans Steelers. We're counting down the day and the time. Let's talk about the Chargers and Patriots last night. I thought the Chargers had a chance to go into New England and win.
I did too.
Because we talk about the Patriots and what the schedule was this year and being in the position they were, and they've got one win this year against teams that are above 500, and the stats that were thrown out, Drake May and his numbers this year are against the combined 32nd pass-rated defense this year out of all the teams combined, looking at them, and it's like, yeah, those teams combined to be the worst pass defense in the league compared to all the other teams that they went up against in their 17 games. So it's like, okay, how good has Drake May been? How good have these Patriots teams, this Patriots team been? So Justin Herbert, in that game last night, has 90-something yards passing. And one of the best plays of the second half was a Justin Herbert fumble. The defense did everything they could to keep them in the game until they couldn't do any more. I don't disagree with Harbaugh going for it on fourth down early to try to score a touchdown and to feel like you get to take advantage of this quick turnover by Drake May and now go up by 7 or 10 or whatever it was, and then you don't come away with any points, and then the Patriots get a big 35, 40-yard play to Ramondre Stevenson right after that, and it's like, oh, my God, they're in a better position now than when they threw the interception, and you had a chance to really take control of the game. You didn't, and you end up with 3 points in that game. After, though, because Justin Herbert fumbled a number of times, and he was constantly harassed by the Patriots defense. I mean, that defensive game last night was, a clinic in defensive lines, getting to the quarterback. Herbert was sacked 6 times. May was sacked 5 times, harassed a lot of the game. He fumbled twice, lost a fumble. Justin Herbert fumbled twice, lost a fumble. Only 1 interception was thrown, and that was by Drake May.
Yeah.
Herbert ends up with 159 yards, but he had like 90 in the game.
He was
like
really struggling.
But what I saw after the game, and his playoffs combined in the 3 games have not been good. He's completed 55% of his passes. He's averaged about 215 yards per game throwing. He has 2 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, and he's 0-3. In the playoffs. But the excuse that was brought up that I think is missing a very key element to make it applicable to Patrick Mahomes. And that is, I saw last night that Justin Herbert, who was getting harassed and knocked down and beat up throughout the game, it was Justin Herbert tries to overcome a bad offensive line. He's not a good quarterback in the playoffs. Patrick Mahomes tries to overcome a bad offensive line, and it's an excuse as to why it's not his fault. And I thought, on the surface, I think if you're not actually giving it much thought, that probably sounds smart when you're tweeting it out, defending Justin Herbert.
Sure.
Of, okay, he overcomes a bad offensive line, and he can't do it, and he sucks, and he's a bad playoff quarterback, and he's had bad offensive lines when he's been in the playoffs. Patrick Mahomes has a bad offensive line, and it's an excuse that's made for him. There's a very, very big key element that is missing that makes it even close to apples to apples.
Patrick's actually won before.
Those 2 games are in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
The Bucs and Eagles, Patrick Mahomes' offensive lines are terrible and he couldn't overcome them, are in the Super Bowl, not in the wild card round. Patrick Mahomes has overcome those offensive line issues. He has done that. The same offensive line that played against the Eagles in the Super Bowl was the same offensive line that went against the Bills and the Texans in the AFC Championship and the divisional round, respectively, when the Texans are wreaking havoc on every quarterback throughout the season last year, continuing it this year. That same offensive line that has the most penalized right tackle, an all-pro guard playing left tackle, a third-string guard playing left guard, was the same offensive line Mahomes did overcome to get to the Super Bowl. The difference in the Bucs is that you had Eric Fisher until the Bills AFC Championship game when he ruptured his Achilles, and that changed a number of things, and maybe it changed the whole thing too much. That was the straw that broke the camel's back with that offensive line, because now you're moving guys to different spots. But he overcame those offensive lines to then make a Super Bowl. Justin Herbert's excuse, yes, he's had some bad offensive lines, but he hasn't been able to overcome those to win a wild card game.
What it comes down to, I don't argue that the offensive line for the Chargers was bad. I don't argue that Bradley Bozeman and Mekhi Becton, who were supposed to at least be your healthy guys, combined to be 2 scoops of ass. I mean, Bozeman is ranked 41st center in the NFL. There's 32 teams. That's not, you think I'm a joke. I saw 41st.
I don't think you're a joke. I might think you're joking, but I don't think you're a joke at all.
41st. I mean, that offensive line is atrocious. But at the same time, Herbert, when you are the quarterback, has to share some of the blame. Now, again, like that final 4th down when Milton Williams just tosses Bozeman to the side like a child.
He split 2. It was a center guard double team, and he went right through it like it literally looked like
it looked like it was you and me out there. I mean, we wouldn't have done any different.
And Bozeman turns around and goes, shoot.
Yeah, like, dang it.
Darn it. Son of a gun.
Shucks.
Dadgummit. Like, oh, man, I flippin' missed it.
I don't blame Herbert for that, but there were a couple of other situations in this game where I go, man, you had a couple of guys open. You could have got the ball out quicker. You could have done, again, maybe it wouldn't have mattered. Maybe you end up losing 16-13, right? But I think anyone that says Herbert had a good game and none of this is his fault, I think you're being disingenuous. We have to have, again, I hate that in sports talk a lot of times nuance is labeled as you can't have it. It has to be, Colin Cowherd on one side and Stephen A. Smith on the other. You have to be yelling and ranting and raving. Or how about we just say, hey, I don't really know who you put back there. I don't know if Josh Allen or Patrick wins that game with that offensive line. I know they put up a better fight, though.
I think if you want to make the argument that says if Patrick Mahomes was quarterbacking this team with that offensive line, I don't know that he'd find a way to quarterback this offense to more than 16 points against that Patriots team. Okay, we'll never know, right? It's like how many licks it takes to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Tootsie Pop.
The fact that we still don't know is...
Somebody's got to figure it out.
It's insane. The research...
I just know there's 3. That's it, 3.
Yeah.
We won't know if Mahomes could have done a better job with that offense. But that's a little bit different than saying, oh, when Mahomes has a bad offensive line, it's an excuse for him. Yeah, but it's talked about in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It's talked about going to 5 of 6 Super Bowls. It's not 0 for 3 in the playoffs. That is a vastly different thing. And I like Justin Herbert. I don't think he's some terrible quarterback that's out there.
No.
But part of the playoffs is, for instance, Josh Allen. It's overcoming the deficiencies that your team has versus the other team over there because you're the one that's paid that money to do that. You've got to overcome those things. Patrick Mahomes has had to overcome deficiencies with his team in the past, and he's been able to do that. That same offensive line and team that got roasted by the Eagles in the Super Bowl were the ones that beat the Bills the 2 weeks before that in the AFC Championship game.
Correct.
A better Bills team last year than the Bills team this year. It's the same one that did that Mahomes had to overcome. He couldn't overcome in the Super Bowl. That happens. But to act like he doesn't or hasn't done that plenty of times in his career when he's had deficiencies at different places, maybe not offensive line, maybe wide receivers that won't catch the football, maybe some running backs that can't run the ball, maybe some other deficiencies, some defensive deficiencies that have happened in the past that he's had to overcome. Like, those are things that you are asked to do if you are a quote-unquote franchise quarterback. And the, Farmer, the guy that was the pro player personnel or whatever with the Chiefs back in the 2000 aughts under Herm Edwards, or when Herm Edwards was the coach.
Sure.
But Ray Farmer, that's who it was. He ended up going on to be the Browns general manager. But Ray Farmer was meeting with Casey Prentice And Casey Printers was there, and it was Hard Knocks. And Casey Printers was like, you're asking me to make chicken salad out of chicken, bleep out there. Like, you're cutting me, but what do you want me to do? And Ray Farmer goes, make chicken salad.
Yeah.
That's how you make the team. Making the team was making chicken salad out of chicken bleep. You didn't do it, so we've got to release you. And it's like, well, what makes you a franchise quarterback? Well, sometimes in the playoffs it's making chicken salad out of chicken bleep. And the offensive line was chicken bleep. But Herbert, unfortunately, maybe it was too much for any quarterback to overcome. But he didn't. And so there's part of wearing that because we've seen other quarterbacks that are franchise guys been able to overcome to the degree of not just scoring 3 points in the game.
Yeah, and again, you can't argue he's not tough. Dude got rocked
He's
a
tough
lot.
as hell.
I mean, that guy was getting him and Josh Allen got rocked, but Josh Allen kept making plays, and Herbert didn't.
Yeah.
I like Herbert, but he really is the definition of if man. I mean, that's like the whole joke is if man. Well, if this happened, or if they stayed healthy, or if they, but you got to eventually do. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, for all the bleep that he's received, he at least has won a playoff game, and he came back and beat the Chargers.
Yeah.
At some point, Herbert,
and he was in a game with Patrick Mahomes. I mean, again, it was that Chad Henne drive when Mahomes hurt his ankle. We needed to see if anybody else besides Patrick Mahomes could do it. And Chad Henne, 99-yard drive?
Yeah.
A good portion of that was the running game. But he also capped that off with a touchdown to Travis Kelce that helped them sort of take control of that game. And then Mahomes got back in there. But that was a Trevor Lawrence-led Jags team.
And now it's another AFC quarterback who's a playoff win, and Herbert, who keeps getting all this praise. And again, I don't argue some of the praise he receives. I'm one of those guys that think he's probably a top 7, maybe even a top 5 most talented quarterback in the NFL.
He can throw the football.
But at some point, winning does matter, and you have to do it. I know that this was not the offensive line, and the offensive line was supposed to be really good this year, but it wasn't. And you have to be the guy that adjusts, whether it's, hey, we need to shift the O-line this way, we have to do this, I have to get the ball out quick.
I think he gets credit. I think he gets credit with that offensive line overcoming and helping get that team to the playoffs.
Agreed.
He should get credit for that. But if he gets credit for that, it can't then just be dismissed that, well, yeah, but the offensive line let him down and he couldn't overcome that. Well, I do think there's an element to that, yes, but at some point you do have to find a way to overcome in the playoffs. And while Patrick Mahomes gets credit for doing that throughout the playoffs and then in the Super Bowl, we talk about as sort of an excuse, but we also look at it and go, there were some things that Mahomes missed in the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
That happens. DeAndre Hopkins also dropped a wide open pass before halftime that could have got the Chiefs right back in the game. But those things happen. Was that Patrick Mahomes? No. But they were in that position because Mahomes threw a couple of bad passes. Interception to Bond, interception to Cooper DeJean. That was a pick 6. Like, those are bad decisions that were made, and Justin Herbert made some tough decisions. Trevor Lawrence made one of the dumbest decisions on first down, when you've got a minute to play and no timeouts left, but you've got one of the best kicking weapons in the league that all you got to get to is really the 50-yard line, and you're at, the 30? And on 1st and 10, you throw a contested pass over the middle high to a well-covered Jacoby Myers and a defender behind him on first down? Like, to me, that was a decision of, they're going to overplay the sideline, so I'm going to have Jacoby Myers on a slant here because Tre'Davious White is going to leverage the outside because he thinks we're going to go work the sideline with no timeouts. So I'm going to hit this guy over the middle, and I'm going to throw it. And then he was covered, but I'm going to try to just, pinpoint it in there. And Tony Romo with that's just an absolute strike from Trevor Lawrence, just a really good play made by the defense. Well, then it's not a strike. Yeah. Okay, because Tre'Davious White was there. It's not a strike if Jacoby Myers has to raise his hands above his head over the middle. And it would have been a gain of 7, 8, 9, 10 yards, whatever it was. It wasn't like over the middle for 20 yards or something like that. And I'm fine with teams. I think teams should work the middle a little bit more. I was hoping the Jags would work the middle and not just say, well, we got to go to the outside and now it's 3rd down and 10.
They had time.
They had plenty of time with Cam Little as your kicker. But you don't work the middle and force it over the middle like he did. Like, that was a terrible decision, and it resulted in the game being over. And you don't even – I thought the Jags with their defense, running game, and the way Trevor Lawrence had been playing, again, Parker Washington and Jacoby Myers, I thought with that group and one of the best weapons in the postseason where you get the ball at the 35, if you go 15 yards, you are in field goal range to tie or win with that kicker. And that was set up that way, where you get 15, 20 yards, you're in field goal range with that kicker to tie to send it to overtime. And on first down, you make that throw? Like, it was just a dumb decision that was made. I don't think going for it on fourth down early in the game was a dumb decision. Like, some are after the play tweeting about that, you just take the points there in the playoffs. I mean, because they didn't get it.
Yeah.
Because Trevor Lawrence slipped. That wasn't a play to where the Bills knew exactly what was coming and they stuffed it and that was dumb. Trevor Lawrence was cutting inside and it was like, well, why didn't you just run him over? Maybe. But he cuts inside and he slips. That happens. And the shin was down right as the guy was making contact, or I think that ball did get past the first down marker. It would have been a first down, and we would have all had fun at the Bills' expense for the virtual measurement, giving them a first down when the Bills were bitching last year about the measurement and wherever the spot of the ball was with Josh Allen. But I'm fine with them going for it. And Pete Prisco from CBS Sports, after the game is over, and the result is 27-24, going, I bet the Jags wish they had that field goal now. Yeah, and I bet Liam Cohen wished that Cam Little would have made a 50-yarder before half.
And when people say that, it's if that means the teams also play the exact same way from that point. Everyone plays different.
I bet they wish the first drive of the game they would have picked up a first down.
Yeah,
not gone 3 and out. I bet they wish that too.
I don't know. I've always been, and maybe this is different. I'm a proponent in the playoffs. I don't mind being more aggressive because I'd rather go down. Obviously, it depends on your team. But, for example, if that was the Chiefs with Patrick, I would rather go down with the ball being in Patrick's hands.
I think Andy goes for it.
Yeah.
I hope Andy goes for it in that situation.
Yeah, we hope.
I would hope he would go for it.
And maybe people have a different opinion. And, again, we always know because of the outcome. But I would like to think that, you have the play call. You have the quarterback. Find a way to get it done. Like, that's why you get paid that much as a quarterback. That's why if you're the head coach and you are an offensive mind, this is when you're really trying to separate, right? These are the separating factors that can either win or lose a game. But you play to win the game.
Do you?
It's just that simple.
I think you do.
I know it seems dumb, but you play to win, not play to not lose. When you play to not lose, bad things happen.
You oftentimes end up losing. I noticed that when it happened, as the Eagles were down 7-6, and they were at the San Francisco 9-yard line, and they faced 4th and 2, and they went for it, and they scored a touchdown. I didn't see Pete Prisco tweeting about. I bet they wish they would have taken the 3 there. No, they got 7. They got 4 extra points by going for it on 4th down and 2 at the 9-yard line of San Francisco. Radio silence. Nothing. Well, you can't have it both ways. You can't ignore when the 4th down results in a touchdown and then act like going for it on 4th down was the dumbest decision ever because you should have just taken the 3 points. Well, I think they would have got the 3 points. It's not just press the field goal button. But still, like the taking the 3 points versus going for it on 4th down, a lot of that is results-oriented. Because if they come through and pick up the 4th down and score a touchdown, it's look how aggressively and Cohen was. Maybe they win the game. Because, if they had those 3 points, maybe the whole game changes. Well, here's the thing with Pete Prisco and his, I bet they wish they had those 3 points now. If they had those 3 points, because the whole game is played the same, right?
Of course.
So if they had those 3 points, it's 27-27, and Trevor Lawrence throws that interception. And now the Bills have the ball. Now, you can't come back and go, well, if it's 27-27, maybe they're playing it differently. No. We don't get to do that. It's one or the other. We can go after the game is over and say you wish they had those points because it would have been tied. Therefore, everything that happened is the same. And if you say that, then everything that happened being the same means that Trevor Lawrence threw the interception and the Bills have the ball at the 30-yard line with 40 seconds to play. They win 30-27. So they still lose, according to your own logic, in going for it or not going for it on fourth down. Your own logic gets you.
All I know was I was thrilled that the line kept moving towards the Jags because I just kept ripping the Bills.
Good for you.
I just kept, okay, Bills.
Yeah.
As we got closer to pregame, it was like, at one point, like minus 110 both sides, and it was like plus 105. I'm like, okay. Eventually, thank you, Bills.
Yeah.
Thank you. The dumbassery of people choosing Trevor Lawrence over the Bills and Josh Allen.
Hey,
so.
I'm in that group.
Well, I think your $5 on the Jags really swayed the line, and that made my $5 even more valuable.
I actually didn't bet on the line. I bet on just the player props. So
I went Bills and Niners. Thank you. They made my my
Bills
weekend.
And Niners, yeah. Oh, in that live betting.
Yeah, I had the Niners. I was like, yeah.
Nice job.
And then I had the under because once they both scored, and the over-under went way up high, and I go, we're going to do the under. See?
Nice.
It's simple.
Nice. I looked at it
Simple game.
When the Rams were trailing and they were driving and they were trailing by 3. I looked at them like, oh, Rams were like minus 180. I'm like, they're trailing in the game and they're still minus 180. I'm like, well, I'm not putting money on that. Of course, that was right because they went on to win the game because they scored the touchdown. I'm like, I was hoping that Vegas was dumb. I'm like, oh, well, the Rams are trailing here in the fourth quarter.
Noted for being dumb. Then
I typically think they are pretty stupid. I outsmart Vegas all the time. That's why I'm doing this, okay? But I'm like, oh, well, that sucks. No free money for me, Then I'm like, oh, man, do I place money on the Panthers plus 2.5? And that was like plus 110. And I'm like, wow, I'm getting the juice and plus 2.5. They're up by 3 right now. Or they're up by 4 or whatever, and if they score a touchdown, they'd be down by 3, but then they get like, no, I'm staying away from it. I'm glad I did, though, because I would have lost that bet, too.
It is fun how you'll have Caleb versus Matt Stafford.
Yes.
Very different ages. Then tonight, I'm Aaron Rodgers versus C.J. Stroud. Very fun to see. Especially tonight. I think the old veteran versus a younger guy. The Steelers' defense is not what it once was.
Yeah.
I mean, they have some pieces, the Steelers do, but that Texans D is the best in the NFL. But then you also wonder, hey, they might have the best defense in the NFL, but can a veteran like Aaron Rodgers be smart enough to make it work? Like, if there's anyone who I would trust against that defense, not named like Patrick or Josh Allen, but just because of age.
Yeah.
Honestly, just because of age, it might be Aaron Rodgers.
I just wonder, Aaron Rodgers' inability to run around and create and extend plays.
That will be hard.
That defense going after him as a guy that doesn't have that anymore. They're going to have to do a lot of the quick passing game, the misdirections, the reverses, the counters, screen passes, just to try to keep the Texans off balance in this one.
Against the Ravens, I think it was a very astute. I forgot who called the game against the Ravens Steelers, that Week 18 game, when we all thought he was probably going to run for a first down. And
that was Tirico and Collins.
It may have been
Tirico. It was Sunday Night Football, right?
And they were, and he pulled up.
Yeah.
And then I think he ended up getting sacked because at the line of scrimmage. And we're like, you're so used to seeing him pick that up that he didn't even try because he goes, I'm not going to get there. Now later in the game, he did go for it and he did have a good run where you go, okay, there's still a little bit here, but he's not. And it was like a defensive end, defensive tackle. It wasn't like we're talking a linebacker corner here.
I thought he was going to turn the corner and pick up the first down, but you know what? And Mike Tirico or Collins or whoever it was that pointed that out. My thought went to, there's going to come a day where we're going to watch Patrick Mahomes not be able to be just fast enough.
Ever say that?
Because he's always just fast enough to get around the guy and get the first down. He's always just fast enough.
He'll be 97 in a nursing home, and the doctors can't catch him because he's just too fast.
There's going to be a time where he's going to get out and try to get away, and his body's just not going to respond the way that his mind and what he's used to having happen in his life. And we're going to go, God, that would have been a first down back in the day, but it's not. So you got to play a little bit differently. We'll see. Maybe he's playing differently starting, September 13th on that Sunday, week 1 of the 2026 NFL season, if he's out there.
Yeah.
If he's not, we'll see who is out there. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling. The Kansas City Chiefs, obviously with the number 9 pick, number 40 in the second round as well. They need help across the board. They need help defensive line, wide receiver, running back, offensive line, linebacker, maybe corner, maybe safety with Brian Cook, maybe getting $15 million per year in the open market is now with Quentin Lake re-signing. Maybe the best safety on the market is now Brian Cook. They need help everywhere. But the NIL is not helping them. We'll talk about a couple of decisions that were made that impacts the Chiefs and impacts what the future of the draft could be, at least for the near future, until some of these things start to change. And how do teams adjust to it? What's the next evolution of NFL team building with what we're seeing happening in college now? We'll take a timeout. We'll talk about that next. All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy. We'll talk with Price Carter coming up at noon, get into some heavy Chiefs off-season. We'll also talk about, in the noon hour, the struggles of the local college basketball teams and some rough starts to conference play on the Kansas side. K-State now 0-3, KU 1-2. They get ready for number 3 in America, Iowa State at home tomorrow night. Right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Mizzou drops one to Ole Miss in a very Mizzou way.
Yeah.
Starting off with wins against Florida and Kentucky and then going to Ole Miss and losing. They get ready for a home date against Auburn on Wednesday night. And then K-State cannot overcome and win the game late against Arizona State. They get set for number 25 UCF tomorrow night.
That was K-State's reprieve in their early conference difficulties, and they did not take advantage.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I think what was a tough one for the Kansas City Chiefs over the weekend, in the last couple of days, really, and really just yesterday, in that Oregon made a couple of big moves. They got the next Patrick Mahomes to commit in Dylan Raiola, which, by the way, shout out to all the people that are tweeting out the picture of Mahomes in the number 2 Oregon jersey when he lost the bet to Jeffrey Bassa and had to wear the Oregon jersey that day at the facility.
It's hilarious. And
so people are going, Raiola's an Oregon Duck. What would that look like? And it's Patrick Mahomes wearing the Oregon jersey. It's pretty good. Only, Raiola wears number 15. But I think it also, one, it means that Dante Moore is going to be declaring, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think most people assumed he was, but whoo boy did he have a rough game. A rough game against Indiana. First pass of the game, pick 6, some other rough passes in the game. But I think that's a pretty decent indication that he's going to declare, which is good. Hopefully Trinidad Chambliss ends up declaring as well. I don't know if he'll be a top 8 pick, but the more quarterbacks that are there, the better opportunity one of those and a team in the top 8 falls in love with them. But that was part of the Oregon story, is Dylan Raiola. But maybe the bigger stories as it relates to the Chiefs are 2 players that decided to return to Oregon. Ualungale, the former Clemson quarterback's brother, edge player for Oregon, has announced he will return to Oregon for the 2026 season. He's the top defensive end for Oregon. And then, about an hour later, defensive tackle Amari Washington announces that he is returning to school for his senior year. Big news for Oregon, right? I mean, they get a couple of big defensive players back. It's bad news for the Chiefs because those are guys that were going to be day 2 picks.
Yeah.
Some like early day 2, like round 2 picks. Ualungale felt like it was going to be a second-round pick that was going to go in the draft. Maybe to the Chiefs at 40 as an edge rusher. If you go Peter Woods in the first round, maybe you swing back around at number 40, and Ualungale is the guy you go with, and you go, all right, well, you got a pretty damn good disrupting 3 technique and a pass-rushing bigger edge that's there. Okay, those 2 guys, would it be better that way, or taking an edge at number 9 and then coming back and getting a defensive tackle that maybe could? Like, who knows? These are all the conversations we would be having if he were in the draft. But he's not. And we know that Oregon has tons and tons of money. We heard that from
Gundy.
We heard that from Mike Gundy. That $40 million that they've got to spend.
Again, I don't think this is
It's not a surprise.
It shouldn't be a surprise.
No, it's not a surprise. But what I wonder is, what does that do to change team building moving forward? Because
players will be older.
Well, Brett Veach talked about that. Yeah, I think we were both going the same route.
Same thing, yeah.
Brett Veach talked about those flyers late in day 3 aren't as good as flyers late in the day 3 that you used to see because the guys are now older. They've been around college with the transfer portal more and more, that they're not younger and raw, that you can develop them. They're sort of who they are. And they're who they are, and they're being drafted where they are because they're just, not as good as some of those players in the top 2 or 3 rounds. Some of those guys late are drafted there because they haven't had the production, but the traits are there and they're young, and you go, boy, we're going to bet on the future of this guy. But that guy's now transferring to a different school, making some money instead of going in the 5th round. Amari Washington and Ualungale returning to Oregon instead of going in the 2nd round. Damon Wilson for Mizzou and wherever he ends up transferring to, returning to school instead of going maybe in the 2nd round. That changes a lot. And wide receivers, not necessarily quarterbacks, because it's you got a better chance of making more money in college. Like Quinn Ewers would have made more money in college than he's making in his rookie deal over the 4 years because of where he was drafted, versus Carson Beck making his $4 million. Sam Levitt signing with LSU, Sorsby signing with Texas Tech for $5 million, right? DeMond Washington getting his $4 million, whatever it is, from Washington. By the way, returning to Washington.
Yeah, I saw that.
Staying there.
Yeah.
And Ty Simpson's, who already, I believe,
he declared.
Some SEC teams were offering him like $6.5 million.
That's nuts. I mean, if you're Ty Simpson, maybe he's drafted in the 20s. Maybe he's a Bo Nix. Maybe he's a guy that people didn't think was going to be drafted in the first round and then shoots up to draft boards. I would take him in the top 8 if I was a team.
He could also be Will Levis. Who knows?
Right, absolutely. Taken in the first, couple of picks of the second round.
You'd probably imagine he would have someone, a good understanding of what teams have had a conversation with him.
And maybe he's looking at it and saying, this is a weaker quarterback class outside of Mendoza.
Sure.
I'm going to strike while the iron's hot. Somebody's going to fall in love with me, a quarterback-needy team, and they're going to draft me because there is a
Hallmark movie, Fall in Love with Him?
Exactly right. Yes, there's going to be a scarf. There's going to be a stocking cap or something like that. That's going to make the difference as to him going to a certain team. But a team's going to fall in love with me, and they're going to draft me early because there isn't a larger group of quarterbacks to choose from. And if I return to Alabama, maybe it's a little bit tougher next year. Maybe I'm not necessarily betting on myself, or I am. I don't know. You could view it both ways. You could view it as him betting on himself that he's going to kill the draft process and move up draft boards, or you can view it as him not betting on himself because it's a weaker quarterback draft, so let me jump in and strike while the iron's hot, because betting on myself might be going back to college for a year and then not being as good, and now going to the NFL and even lesser of a draft profile because now I'm a year older.
But if you make $6.5 million, does it matter?
That's betting on yourself because, good God, what a nest egg. And whatever you made this year at Alabama, that's a 2-year contract right there. But what I think it does for teams moving forward is I think you start to really emphasize more and more those day 1 and day 2 picks, where you emphasize a little bit less of those day 3 picks. And I'm not saying you throw them out the window, but it might be to where you get in the second round and the Chiefs would say, well, we got that 5th round for Justin Reed, comp pick. Let's move from 40 to 34, and let's take another guy that shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
And we give up a 5th rounder where we can throw a flyer and a lottery ticket at that guy, or we get the number 9 pick in the draft and the number 34 pick in the draft, and we did that by not signing Justin Reed. Because they traded Justin Reed for a 5th rounder, is essentially what they did. If they would have had Justin Reed for 1 more year and traded him and you got a 5th rounder out of it, you got a 4th rounder out of Joe Tooney. You're getting a 5th rounder out of...
Well, yes, because you're not paying the contract.
Because you're not paying the contract. Yeah. He's not on your team, and you're getting a 5th round draft pick for him. I mean, Joe Tooney was not on the team this year, and you got a 4th rounder for this year. You just used that for Noel Williams.
Sure.
Justin Reed was not on this team this year. You're getting a 5th round comp for him, 5th and 6th, whatever, for him, which then you could move if you want to and put more emphasis on those day 1, day 2 picks and search more UDFA for guys that might have been 5th, 6th, and 7th round draft picks anyway. Like Esapole was a UDFA.
Yeah.
Brennan Stool, no idea what he's going to be. UDFA. But if Esapole was a 6th rounder, we'd be going, you know what, that's a nice pick in the 6th round by the Chiefs. They found that tackle in the 6th round. It's a nice rotational guy, filled in when he was like the 4th guy there and played that way. It's a pretty good pick in this. We would be looking at the 2025 draft and going, well, he found somebody in the 6th round. Josh Simmons looks pretty good. Noel Williams looks pretty good finally. Gelati was coming on strong. Norman Lott got injured. That sucks. No idea about Jalen Royals. No idea about Jeffrey Bossa. Brashard Smith wasn't really utilized, and maybe as he grows, he'll get more and more of an opportunity. But, boy, that 6th round selection by Esapole looks like it can be – he might be your right tackle next year. That's a pretty nice find. Instead, that was UDFA. And I think it also increases more and more where you're going to be signing your own in free agency. Where, like, the salary cap goes up, and it's like, oh, my God, you get all this cap space to go work a free agency. Well, teams are going to be looking at it and going, yeah, we got all this cap space to keep our guys. Or we let this guy go and we try to draft somebody. Okay, well, now we're drafting in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd round, but after that, are we going to find somebody that played this role that we found late? I don't know. We found Christian Roland Wallace as a UDFA if you're the Chiefs. You found... some other guys along the way, Jalen Watson in the 7th round, but I don't know, maybe Jalen Watson is not there in the 7th round because he returns and gets an extra year of eligibility and makes like $4 million.
It makes 1st rounders more valuable.
Yes.
It makes maybe not even 2nd rounders if we're seeing these guys stay, which again, I don't. We shouldn't be surprised.
I don't disagree with their decision, by the way.
Yeah, I would agree with most, unless you are a first rounder, because second round you start getting the conversation of, well, if you get injured, do you now move from a second to a fifth round draft pick or a second to a fourth? Do you have something like Trey Smith, even where something pops up and all of a sudden, well, now he's going to have a guaranteed 3-4 year deal in the NFL, right, based on what draft pick, how many years are guaranteed of that contract. Do maybe now I don't have all those guarantees anymore. I get the risk, but overall, if you're making that much money for 1 year, and again, I know it's silly, but college is fun. You get to stay, and yes, it's very hard. I'm not saying that a college athlete is not putting in a lot of work, but once you go pro, this is now your job. Your life now revolves around this, guaranteed every single moment. It's why I would go to the NBA. Like, I know it's hilarious to say, but I think it's such a great argument. 90% of guys can't shoot in college. Then they go pro, and you're like, that guy couldn't shoot at all. Andre Drummond is now hitting threes? Well, yeah, because it's his job now. It's why I was so mad at Ben Simmons and Markelle Fultz. It's your job now. You have all the time in the world. You're spending 8 hours a day in the gym working on your jump shot.
You should be.
You don't do that in college. You're working on getting numbers. I'm not talking numbers on the court. You're trying to get your percentage up off the court, okay?
You're also working on letters because you need to stay eligible.
And so,
unless you're at North Carolina, then they figure out a way to do that for you. Anyway.
And they're going to blame Mizzou for it, of course.
Well, yeah.
So
they're going to hammer Cleveland State. They're so pissed at Kentucky.
And so this is the new norm, and Brett Veach was on this a few years ago, talking about this. But now instead of 6th and 7th rounds, now it's more 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounds as well, getting thrown into the equation of guys staying longer, and maybe this will change. And I think the college football landscape is going to have to change at some point. There's going to have to be some rules and regulations, and maybe we'll see some differences. But as of right now, this makes first-round draft picks more valuable, and it makes 3rd and later, maybe you start spending those draft picks for the Joshua Uches.
Yeah. I mean, they did. That was a 6th rounder. They would have a 6th rounder this year. New England's got a 6th rounder from the Chiefs this year.
And maybe you start doing more of those risks.
Yeah, I think it's 6th round when on the clock this year they're going to care about Joshua Uche not playing. I think also the fact that it was for Joshua Uche and he didn't play makes it even worse. Right.
Do you make more of those moves now, understanding that, hey, they're not as valuable as they once were? We'll take the half year of a guy if we think that helps us this season.
And it depends on what round, because they weren't willing to do that running back for Breece Hall in a 3rd rounder.
Well, yeah.
Because it's day 2, so it depends on what round that is. And my point being, it's like, do you trade back and pick up more lottery picks, more lottery tickets, right? Or if you're Brett Veach, do you look at it and say, we now have 2 5th rounders, we've got an early 5th and a late 5th/6th, and we're sitting at 40, and there's a guy at 36 that shouldn't be there. Well, we need players, but that player, getting him, is worth taking a chance on somebody that's a 5th/6th rounder that's there, who's 25 years old because of the transfer portal and is not the Flyers that we took before. This guy is a difference maker. That's a rotational piece right now. Whatever it is, this wide receiver shouldn't be here right now. And we're moving up and taking that guy. And now we're better for it, as opposed to we're going to sit back and hope he lands with us, or we take whatever's left over, but we still get that 5th round guy too that may end up being a good special teamer, which can help, but may end up being Darian Kennard. That never helped with your team.
Do you mean
three-time Super Bowl champion?
Super Bowl champion.
My bad. But you traded back, got Sky Moore and Darian Kennard. And it's like, okay, well, look, you traded back, you got more picks. Well, you got one more. And that was Kennard. And you got Sky Moore. And both of them weren't that good.
We're in the playoffs yesterday.
Whatever. Sky Moore making plays, man. Making plays.
He did have one very poor decision on the fair catch. But besides that, he played pretty well.
That's just that Dave Tobe teaching. Dave Tobe teaching you to catch that.
He goes, catch everything.
Catch everything. Catch it at the 4-yard line, whatever. Guys are pinning it down inside. Remember, Sky Moore and those returners used to catch it inside the 5-yard line, and Dave Tobe's like, yeah, that's what we teach them. Guys are pinning them at the 1-yard line. Like, you think the 4-yard line to the 1 is a big a difference as opposed to bouncing into the end zone and the 4-yard line to the 20? Like, you understand the difference there?
4 steps to your right and let it bounce.
Talk about 3 yards versus 16 being the difference. What are we doing here?
Maybe it is Dave Tobe.
I don't know. Still there. But Sky Moore made a smart play when it bounced off the Eagles' helmet and bounced to the middle of the field on the punt return, and he went and scooped it up. On the broadcast, they were like, oh, it hit a player. Sky Moore not taking a chance and just go ahead and fielding that thing just in case. I'm like, no, he knows that no matter what he does, they get the choice of the ball being back there where it hit the Eagles' helmet.
Correct.
Yes, you pick it up and run. You fumble, whatever. You take the ball back there. You score a touchdown. You get the touchdown. You get the 15 yards. It's a risk-free play at that point. That was just smart play by Sky Moore.
Demarcus Robinson just going off. We always said D-Rob was going to be he actually has been good in the playoffs, though.
Look at Mahomes' numbers from 18 to 21 when he had Demarcus Robinson. What's he done since losing Demarcus Robinson? Okay?
Well, besides 22.
Well, yeah, he had a good year in 22. But that was teams not being able to adjust to what Mahomes was going to do without Demarcus Robinson. Now, you've got 4 years of data without D-Rob. I'm not saying...
Was 2022 the outlier?
Yeah.
Since 2022, do you know what Demarcus Robinson averages per game in the playoffs?
78.
22 at Baltimore, 49 yards a game. With the Rams in 23, 44 yards a game. With the Rams in 24, 49 yards a game. 25 with San Fran now, one game, 111 yards per game.
Yeah.
This dude is a playoff stud.
Right. I mean, what has Mahomes done besides go to 3 Super Bowls and win 2 of them? But I'm talking about the regression. Why are people paying so much attention to number 10 that played on the Chiefs with Mahomes and ignoring Demarcus Robinson in his time with the Chiefs? Maybe the entire time it should have been bleep it Demarcus Robinson down there somewhere. You know who's not going to the playoffs and making plays? Number 10. You know who is? Legacy game yesterday for Demarcus Robinson for the 49ers. Wish the Chiefs had that guy.
I do, though. Right now?
Remember how spoiled we were when it was like, I mean, Demarcus Robinson catches the ball and then runs backwards and figures out where to go and just ignored the part of the, catches the ball aspect of it. I mean, Demarcus, he's catching the ball, but then he's like running backwards and then he's trying to run forward. I'm like, good God, Demarcus, let's go, man. Catching the ball was a very big part of that.
His feet were in bounds when he caught it.
No doubt. We'll take a timeout, come back. More Zone next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy heading up until 2 o'clock. Price Carter, Arrowhead Addict, will join us coming up at noon. Mick Schaefer, 1 o'clock, KSHB 41 Sports Director. Learn Funniest Best coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. Coming up tonight at 7 o'clock. Pre-game starting right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, 103.7 FM. And the wild card game, 7:15 is when that game gets underway. Texans at Steelers, 6 o'clock. Hawk Talk with Bill Self coming off the tough game against West Virginia on the road and getting ready for a huge matchup at Allen Fieldhouse against Iowa State, number 3 in the land. That is tomorrow night, 8 o'clock on ESPN with the Jayhawks. Wednesday night, Mizzou and K-State are in action. 913-912-4810. We'll talk more draft with Price Carter and obviously what the Chiefs need to do this offseason and areas to look. And I'm curious his thoughts on the NIL and what it's doing for the draft pool of players. Because those are a couple of names that could have been there for the Chiefs, those Oregon defensive linemen that are no longer there for the Kansas City Chiefs or any team to draft. They are returning to Oregon because they are making a whole lot of money. It's lowering the number of guys that you feel like could be difference makers in the draft, which means that you probably put more emphasis on you better get it right and then probably re-signing your guys.
Anytime you can stay in Eugene, you might as well, right?
Right, absolutely. You know, and some people want to get out of Eugene. Some people want to stay in Eugene. Some people want to go to different spots. Dylan Raiola can't wait to get there. I mean, you think it's a coincidence that Raiola saw Patrick Mahomes wearing a Ducks jersey after the Texas Tech game, now he's going to Oregon?
I honestly don't. I honestly would find...
It's like, oh, wait, I thought he went to Texas Tech. Oregon? I'm in. Dan Lanning?
Does he change his number to 2? for the
That would be freaking hilarious.
The Oregon jersey that Patrick was wearing. That would be...
Great. That would be freaking hilarious if that actually happened. If Raiola was number 2.
He wouldn't, though, because Mahomes didn't wear that jersey number in college.
But it doesn't matter, though. He saw Mahomes in an Oregon jersey wearing 2. Mahomes wore a 15 jersey at Texas Tech. He's only put on 1 jersey number at Oregon. He's only worn 1 jersey number for Oregon, and that's number 2. I think you got to be number 2 if you're Dylan Raiola. Just lean into it.
We're number 2.
Come on.
We're number 2.
That's right. And then you can go, see, I'm not trying to be like Patrick Mahomes. I'm not even wearing number 15 here at Oregon.
Yeah, see, this would be a great little bit.
It would be funny if he actually did that. Was Bossa number 2? And that's why he had Mahomes wear number 2 Oregon jersey?
I'd assume it was Dante Moore.
I don't know why a linebacker would be 2.
I mean,
isn't Dante Moore
in today's college football and NFL? I don't know why defensive
number 5.
end.
Dante's number 5.
I don't know why a defensive end would be number 8. You know, but we've seen guys with number 8 and number, you know.
Jeffrey Bossa was number 2 at Oregon.
2. Yeah.
What a wild number for a linebacker. Is that the most absurd number you've seen for like a different player? Like that might be the most ridiculous number.
Well, it's like when I talked about Ben Sinnott. That when he was playing tight end at K-State.
It was like 48, right?
And he was wearing a number in the 40s, and I'm like, he's kind of a fullback, H-back type guy. And then you look at the overall numbers, you're like, no, he's just a regular big tight end. Then he gets and wears number 80-something. You're like, oh, yeah, he's tight end. Yeah. Really? He looked smaller at Kansas State than he does in the NFL. Well, no, he just...
Sky Moore wearing 24 looks slow. Sky Moore wearing number 9 looks athletic for San Fran. I don't know how to describe it. It just is.
Sky Moore wearing 24 looks shorter and smaller on the field. Sky Moore wearing number 9, I'm like, who is that?
That's an athlete.
Who is that thin, lanky fella out there? Who's that tall glass of water out there playing for the 49ers?
That's an athlete.
Wish the Chiefs had somebody like that number 9 out there returning punts. He's a hell of a player. But instead they had that crappy number 24 in Kansas City.
If Jamar Chase wore like 22, I'd be like, that is a very...
Is he 5'8"?
Out of shape wide receiver. Number 1...
Svelte. Stud, yeah, absolutely. Number 1, that's a big dude. Look at his lower carriage.
Jefferson's the only guy that can wear 18 and look skinny.
Yeah. It's an optical illusion. It absolutely is.
Bossa giving Mahomes his own jersey, that's a power play, too.
Hell yeah, you're going to wear my jersey. What number, what would have Bossa, what jersey would Bossa have worn? Would have been a Mahomes 15, probably?
I assume.
What if he made him wear a White House high school jersey?
Oh.
That would have been odd and weird. Bryce Carter next. By the way, thanks to Twitter. I mean, you feel so dumb. In the first hour, we were talking about, or maybe it was earlier in the 11 o'clock hour, we were talking about the Bears and Cairo Santos, and we're like, you know, how well Santos kicked. We're like, hey, Santos, the reason why we're not talking about the iconic number 5 around here, we're talking about the iconic number 15. Literally in the first hour, we said that. Then in that segment, we said, would Bossa wear a Texas Tech 15 jersey? You wore number 5, jackass. You already said that an hour ago. You know, we just lose track of stuff. You know, I mean, there's so many things on our plate It's like, what do we start with? The sides or the main course or the dessert? I don't know.
We just get lost with the numbers.
That's exactly right. We get lost with the meat and potatoes with Price Carter. Arrowhead Addict does a great job covering the Kansas City Chiefs and covering the draft, and it'll be a fascinating offseason this year for the Kansas City Chiefs, a very crucial one. Price, welcome into the show. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me on, fellas. Good to talk to you again.
Yeah, we appreciate it, man. I hate that we're talking a month early, about this offseason for the Kansas City Chiefs, but we've kind of seen this happening over the last month of the season for the NFL or for the Kansas City Chiefs and what was happening progressively. So I guess I'll just start off, and I know that the draft is one of your specialties and looking at all these different prospects, and as we get further and further into the draft season, is there a particular focus from what we saw this year with the Chiefs going into this offseason for Brett Veach? Is there a focus, a side of the football, a position, something like a type of player? Is there something you think the Chiefs' initial focus should be on as they get rolling in the offseason?
I come back to two things. I think, first off, sitting and watching the playoffs without the Chiefs partaking in them is kind of an interesting experience. We haven't had a lot here in Kansas City lately. And one thing that was just incredibly obvious watching the games was how important the run game is and how much these offenses are built through them, right? You look at the teams that won. James Cook, the leading rusher in the NFL. The Rams signed Kyron Williams to a big deal, and they spent the 83rd pick on Blake Corum. The Bears paid DeAndre Swift. They heavily invest in the run game through Ben Johnson. Christian McCaffrey facing off against Saquon Barkley. The Pats pay Ramondre Stevenson and then take Travion Henderson, 38th overall, and then they're facing off against another first-round running back in the Chargers. And then you got the Chiefs, whose running back room is, it has to be the worst in the NFL. I don't see how it's not. And the amount of investment that they put into it, it's just, there's nothing. They have to get more dynamic at running the ball. They have to get more talent in the running back room. And then the other thing that I come back to, and it's kind of multiple, because the defense wasn't perfect this year, right? But I think you've got Faith and Spagnuolo, and they've got some guys who have already shown some promise. There's some work to be done there, personnel-wise, because of the free agents. But the other thing I just come back to is how many times in these games you saw quarterbacks have easy buttons for them because of the run game, because of how open players were. You got Parker Washington and Jacoby Myers making me just yearn for them. This time last year, we were sure that Xavier Worthy was going to take the next step and that Rashee Rice was a budding superstar. Instead, I'm sitting here, wishing we would have traded for Jacoby Myers here in Kansas City. So I hate to say this because it really kind of defaults a lot of conversation. But if they don't look at upgrading the scheme, looking at changing what they're doing, I'm not sure how much it matters, because at the end of the day, that's going to decide a lot. So we can sit here and talk, what should they draft, where should they draft, positions of need, et cetera. But they've got to look at getting some outside voices in the building. I definitely think, that's something that's been highlighted a lot, but I think it's time that they start looking at how can they make the most out of the run game, not only on personnel, but also design and how they play off of it.
Early on in the season, Matt Nagy was talking about looking for an identity on offense and just how they're going to play and instituting some certain things and trying to find that. And he also mentioned, those breather plays for Patrick Mahomes, that, RPOs and shotgun and things like that, all of those are on Patrick Mahomes to assess the defense before the play if he's passing it, or an RPO where they have these quote-unquote breather plays. But while it's nice to have breather plays, I would like them to be more. I would like them to have more breather plays. But Price, the breather plays can't set up 2nd and 9. You would like to have a breather play that gets you to 2nd and 5, or 1st and 10 after the handoff on first down when Mahomes doesn't have to assess the defense or anything. Just take the snap, hand it, hopefully take the snap under center, hand it to the running back who is dynamic enough, or the scheme, blocking, concept, or whatever good enough to where it's not 2nd and 9. And yeah, you gave Mahomes a breather play, but you also put a little bit more on his plate now on 2nd and 3rd down to be able to get a fresh set of downs.
Yeah, I was watching a reel or something about the Beast Quake, because that was 15 years ago last weekend. And they were talking about part of the reason why Marshawn Lynch had to break 15, 20 tackles in that play was because it was the wrong play call. And they were rushing because it was kind of a 2-minute situation. And they just kind of okay, well, we're just going to run this. So it was actually the wrong play call. and that's why he had to break so many tackles. And I think that's a great comparison of just like, hey, sometimes you need someone that can make you right even when you're wrong. Yeah. And like, not everything needs to be blocked up to a T. Not everything needs to be schemed up perfectly for this to work. We're not asking Patrick Mahomes to be a superstar. And, you know, I just come back to how many highlight plays from Mahomes this year were outside of structure versus inside of structure. And we know, like, that's where a lot of highlight plays come, period, in the NFL. But how many times was he just standing and delivering in the pocket with someone wide open, ready to catch the ball? And how many times has a backup quarterback looked good in Kansas City? I mean, remember, every day I get Patriots fans telling me just Andy Reid can make anybody look good at quarterback. The last quarterback to look good in a Chiefs uniform that wasn't named Patrick Mahomes was Chad Henne on a 98-yard drive with 60 yards of rushing from Isaiah Pacheco. Yep. And that was a drive. And then it quickly eroded from there. It hasn't looked good with Carson Wentz. It hasn't looked good in the little bit we've seen Gardner Minshew. It hasn't looked good with Blake Gabbert. I can't blame them for Shane Buechele and Chris Oladokun not looking great considering the surrounding cast. But at some point, you just got to ask, like, where are the easy buttons? Where are the breaks, like you're talking about? So having players that can make you right even when you're wrong, that's a big part of this, too.
Price Carter's our guest. Arrowhead Addict does a great job covering the draft. My question for you would be, as we talk about the upgrade of the running game in some capacity or holistic, the running back particular player, is that a guy that is the value to go and sign in the free agent with this running back class? Is it a draft pick with this, draft running back class? Or do you take an approach of both, signing somebody and drafting somebody like they did at left tackle last year and giving yourself a couple of shots at finding somebody that could be the answer?
Yeah, I certainly think we've reached this point now that it's burn the boats, right? Like don't get me wrong, I think Kareem Hunt has added value to this team, and despite why he exited Kansas City the first time, I do think it's kind of been a nice little redemption arc for him, even though it was of his own doing. Mm-hmm. But I'm concerned that if Kareem Hunt is on this roster, no matter what player you sign or draft, that he's going to start getting in there, because that's what they've shown to do with personnel on both the defense and the offense. So burn the boats, turn the whole room over. You like what you've seen from Brashard Smith and splashes. Hopefully he can put on some weight. I know we talked about that post-game. But, hey, at least there's an explosive element to his game, and he has strength. You want to bring Dameon Pierce on as a futures contract or whatever, just as a roll of the dice, that's totally okay. This is a guy who almost had a 1,000-yard season, has talent. Other than that, yeah, they've got to completely turn over that room. And I know Chiefs fans, there's a lot of different ways that they can approach this, right? They can go all in on one of the bigger name backs like Kenneth Walker, like Breece Hall, a name like that, and really just kind of like take over the position and take that off their draft board until maybe day 3. Or they can do a little bit of both. I kind of like them doing a little bit of both. I think that there's quite a few names in free agency, and keep in mind it's what you're looking for, right? Like I talked about, Kenneth Gainwell looks great for the Steelers, doing what he's doing. He's still not even 26 years old. That'd be a great guy to bring in as a number 2. They've got to just like kind of revamp the room entirely. This will obviously kind of bleed into the Jeremiah Love conversation, the really talented running back out of Notre Dame, a St. Louis kid, a state champion track athlete. I mean, I have him as a top 3 prospect in this class. He is exceptional. He is dynamic. He is explosive. He's a great pass catcher. He is the classic, will make you right even though you're wrong type of player. With that being said, how much can the Chiefs build an infrastructure that it makes sense to take Jeremiah Love? Because if you're going to draft Jeremiah Love in the top 10, the first time this team is drafted in the top 10 in the Andy Reid era since he got hired, I don't want to see him take 10 carries out of shotgun and that be it, right? Like, they need to build infrastructure around him. We've seen that with running backs. Look at how, and they're sitting and watching the playoffs too, but look at how the Falcons have built the whole thing out of Bijan Robinson versus what Ashton Shinty came into. And I don't think the Chiefs are like the Raiders right now as far as infrastructure goes, but there has to be infrastructure. So I think the answer is both. The couple other names that I kind of like, Rashard White, he's a Kansas City kid. He's a guy who has been the passing down back. The Bucs, they have Sean Tucker, they have Bucky Irving. They might move off of him. I mentioned Kenneth Gainwell. Brian Robinson is a guy, again, just an adult in the room, someone who can at least get you something competent. Miles Sanders, Jeremy McNichols is not a flashy name at all, but every time I watched the Commanders game this year, he just seemed to pop a little bit in the passing game. Again, they just got to burn the boats, turn the whole room over.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've heard the talk about, Jeremiah Love in the first round, and I'm not, looking for them to take a running back with the number 9 pick in the draft. I'd like them to take, defense and the positional value and all the things that we get into and discuss. I do think if you're making an argument for that, the argument would be he's not a typical running back. He is a weapon. He can catch passes. Like the McCaffrey deal that the Panthers signed, I remember when people were talking about running backs and how can you give a running back this contract? And my point at the time was, well, you're giving a guy who also caught 100 passes. Would you give that contract to a receiver that had 100 catches and also was doing the things that he was doing in the open field and running it? Hell yeah. The reason you're arguing about it is because there's an RB before his name. But he's still a dynamic weapon overall on your team. And I think that would be the argument for Jeremiah Love, in that you're bringing in a dynamic player and a weapon that might catch 70 passes like Bijan Robinson and run the ball a certain number of times, like Bijan Robinson. And I will push back, Price, on the detractors and those on the other side. And again, I'm not campaigning for Jeremiah Love. I'm just presenting the argument here on those that say, all right, well, Bijan Robinson and Jonathan Taylor and those guys are sitting at home. And my response would be, okay, Myles Garrett, Brian Burns, Aiden Hutchinson, those guys are sitting at home too. So does that mean that you shouldn't draft a defensive end, a stud defensive end that can get 22 sacks like Myles Garrett because he didn't make the playoffs? I mean, we can talk about guys who are really awesome that aren't going to the playoffs at certain positions. We don't need to just focus on the fact that Robinson and Taylor are not in the postseason and their offenses are lacking quarterbacks and the Chiefs are not.
Yeah, and my theme this year for the draft, especially at the top, is you want to do the highest floor, safest pick. And I know that that's not sexy, that that's not fun to really talk about, because every year in the draft, we see teams do dumb things because of that dirty little P word potential, right? And the traits and the combine, and we're going to be salivating over people's relative athletic scores. But at the end of the day, the Chiefs cannot miss with this pick at 9. If this ends up being like a Tyree Wilson, or pick whatever, a John Ross level pick that's just a first round top 10 pick bust, it could seriously derail what's already been derailed slightly. Is this a slight lull in an injury-ridden year, or is this the beginning of the end for what they've built? So that's why I come back to, I want to measure the players that they are taking early in this draft by their floor more than their ceiling. So, again, going back to Jeremiah Love, if they build the infrastructure around them, an insanely high floor prospect, especially when you think about, Jamal Charles had some of his best years here in Kansas City with Andy Reid. Can they begin to build it all around him like they did Jamal Charles? Is that because right now the Chiefs' offense, Travis Kelce obviously is the name that he is and is still a very good player, but he doesn't strike the fear into you. Nobody in the Chiefs' offense strikes fear into the defense. You put Jeremiah Love back there, that completely changes how teams are going to play you in the run. Same thing goes for other names in the draft. I have Caleb Downs as my number 2 prospect. Same thing. An insanely high floor player. He's a safety. We can do the positional value, but I feel very, very good about the chances of Caleb Downs at least being a good safety. I was taking a look at safeties that have been picked in the top 10. Eric Berry, those type of guys, they're typically all-pro, Pro Bowl level players if you're a top 10 safety. Would you take that? I would take that over a high-risk player, someone that you're doing some projection like a Jordan Tyson, like a, Keldrick Folk or names like that where you're doing a little bit more projection.
Visiting with Price Carter, Arrowhead Addict is our guest. Do you have a free agent? You mentioned a number of free agent players that you could go the high level that are at the top of the class, like a Kenneth Walker or a Breece Hall, or you can go to a Gainwell, McNichols, some players like that. We've seen different people with their different preferences, whether that be Kenneth Walker or Breece Hall, or maybe value and ability, Tyler Algier, somebody like that. Do you have a preference up there that you're like, if this is the running back the Chiefs are going to go out and get, this is who I'd prefer them take a run at in free agency?
I think the one that they'll probably gravitate, there's 2 guys I feel like they'd gravitate to. I think they'll love Kenneth Walker's speed. Again, they drafted Charbonnet behind him. And Kenneth Walker, he's a little bit of a Chiefs back in the way of he doesn't always have the best vision either, but he's so dynamic that when he gets the ball in his hands, he's had some of the craziest carries where he's reversing field and completely going out of the structure of the run lane, run assignment, and still creating. I think they will love about Kenneth Walker. I think the name that they'll come to is Travis Etienne because of his production in the passing game. And they have proof of concept. They have seen him in an Andy Reid system for several years under Doug Peterson. They know what he looks like. They know what he does. I'm sure they can give good old Doug a call, ask him about the player. So I think that like those are the ones that I would say are probably like top of their list as far as total players and players that they might want to bring in. For me, one name that I kind of like, and again, the Chiefs offense, the Chiefs team in general this year just lacks a lot of attitude. You think back to some of the best years this team has had. They've got some real dogs, some alphas, some guys who, are more than just bark their bite. And I like Tyler Algier from the Falcons. Nate Tice, he always calls him the little hamster ball because he's got a low center of gravity, breaks tackles. I think he'd be a perfect 2. If you're bringing him in and then, you're drafting Emmett Johnson or Jadarian Price, and you pair him with Tyler Algier, you've got a thunder and lightning there with Brashard Smith, Tyler Algier, and then you got a lead back. And Algier's good in pass pro. That takes care of a lot of things. And he's a guy that, I don't think he's going to break the bank. And that's another thing to get into this, right?
Yeah.
Like the Chiefs are the most over the cap of any team in the NFL right now. We know the levers that they can pull to get there, but they still got to pull them. You're not making yourself a better team when you cut Juwan Taylor, when you do things like that. And, Travis Kelce's still up in the air. He's not under contract next year. So they've got to consider those type of things. So I definitely think, your Breece Hall, I think that's the name that everyone likes the most. He's going to be expensive. He's still young. He's, was a top 50 pick and has the stink of Jets all over him. So maybe people will try to glow that up a little bit.
Yeah, and it's like, well, he was able to do those things while playing for the Jets. So maybe if he gets other opportunities somewhere else, what can he do? And I also think when we talk about, well, you're going to bring somebody in and Andy Reid's not going to give him the ball. Well, Bijan Robinson is one of, if not the best running backs in the league. And Pacheco, Hunt, and Brashard Smith had more touches this year than Bijan Robinson. So it's not a matter of like, well, Bijan is carrying the ball 100 more times for the opportunities, and that's why he's taking advantage of those. It's like, no, he's touching the ball fewer times than Pacheco, Hunt, and Brashard Smith combined, and look at the production he's getting with those particular touches. There's a little bit of a difference of, can you take advantage of that? Can those breather plays actually turn into first downs instead of 2nd down and 9? Price Carter's our guest, Arrowhead addict. We talked in the previous hour, Sterling and I did, about Oregon had some big news the last couple of days. Dylan Raiola is heading to Oregon to play quarterback because he saw Patrick Mahomes in an Oregon jersey, and he thought, oh my God, well, I mean, if he played at Oregon, then I should go there. That may be the case, maybe not. But the bigger news, more serious news, is Washington and Ualongale are returning to Oregon, both defensive linemen, an edge, and a defensive tackle, and a couple of guys that maybe round 2, day 2 picks, guys in a group of players on the defensive line to choose from. I hate it for the Chiefs because, those are players that maybe could have been wearing a Chiefs jersey next year, but also players that maybe a team is going to draft, which would allow a player that no longer is going to be on the Chiefs in the draft, that'll be on another team, that would have been on the Chiefs, if that makes sense. What is the future then with these particular players? Damon Wilson was going to be a round 2 pick or something like that, and now he's going to, transfer from Missouri and make the NIL money. Is there a change in philosophy moving forward for these teams? Does it put an emphasis on the round 1 and round 2 and 3 picks and less of an emphasis on the late round picks that maybe you move those around? How do you view what the near future is of some of these guys that would have been day 2, maybe high 2nd round picks that are not in the draft anymore, that limits the pool of players you're looking at?
Well, first off, as a man who is a Nebraska Cornhuskers fan, who has had many runs inside of Lincoln Memorial Stadium, I am no longer speaking to Dylan Raiola. He hurt me in a way that few can. They gave that man everything. His dad's name is up in the Hall of Fame up there in Lincoln, and that whole falling out was very weird. I think honestly, this all just kind of blends together in a larger conversation.
Yeah.
Being a college football fan right now sucks. It's fun. We love the game. But, until I see a player run on the field for the Huskers week 0, I don't believe that they're on the team, because you just don't know. Mm-hmm. And I think the first domino here is with Raiola. And, I'll stick up for him for a little bit here just because I think in Kansas City we have a particular impression of him. He's not done anything to dispel the Mahomes things, right? But at the end of the day, he was a top 3 QB prospect in his class just behind DJ Lagway, 5-star. He's the son of an NFL Pro Bowl level offensive lineman. His dad's a college offensive lineman coach. He's the godson of Matt Stafford because his dad played on the Lions. Like, this is a guy who's got a huge pedigree. Originally committed to Georgia, transfers to Nebraska for playing time, and now he's going to Oregon. The question is, and the domino here that really starts setting all this off is Dante Moore declared for the draft?
Good point.
Obviously, I think you look at the game he played the other day against Indiana. It was just a wagon. You ask the question of, is he better going off to the draft, or is he sticking around? Then you get DJ Uiagalelei returning, Amari Washington. Does that signal, okay, they're going to run it back with Dante Moore, and they're pushing all that Nike money into the chips? Or is the real sign that he is going to start? Because this is a guy, like, I know from the Husker beat, Rayola was one of the top compensated players in college football this year, like, bar none. And their strategy this year, the Huskers, it's like, what if we stop paying the quarterback close to $5 million and start paying the rest of the roster more and then, spread that money out? So there's some real questions. And keep in mind, too, like, Dante Moore transferred to Oregon and sat behind Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what Rayola's plan is, and Rayola would probably be wise to set out the 2027 QB class, which looks very talented with Arch Manning being the headliner. So all this kind of comes back to NIL, how it's impacting the draft. The thing that I think comes here is you can go and you can get an evaluation from the NFL player committee. You can get a first-round grade, a second-round grade, or like day 3, basically. And most players who get that day 3 grade, they go back. Cam Ward, the year before he declared for the draft, got a day 3 grade, and then he was the number 1 overall pick. Especially with quarterbacks, I think they are better off spending time in college because their ceiling is so high as far as their earning capital, and they're going to be making $4 or $5 million. Brendan Sorsby at Texas Tech. There's another example of a guy who's like staying in school and going to do really well for himself. So I think that second and third round is the area that we're going to see probably players, the impact of NIL and how it could impact the Chiefs draft. And the 2 names you listed there were definitely guys I like for it. Uiagalelei is a nice, big, long, powerful edge setter, season high, career high in sacks this year. Amari Washington, just a bowling ball of a man in the middle, a freak athletically. There'll be other guys I like. Dominic Orange, Big Citrus as they call him, from Iowa State. Dante Corleone, the Godfather from Cincinnati. 2 great nicknames. Both of them are gap shooting interior defensive linemen. Lee Hunter from Texas Tech, another guy who really popped in the college football playoff. So that's another position, that interior defensive line edge. Like, defensive line is probably the biggest overall need that the Chiefs have because they need both. They need 1 tech, they need 3 tech, they need edge, and that's considering what they had on the roster last year wasn't good enough. And you can save money by moving off Mike Dana. I would be inclined to do that. So there's a lot of questions there, and that's kind of where I have Ruben Bain as my number 1 overall player on my board right now. Wow. And I think it's because his floor is so high at edge or inside, and that he is just such a violent presence inside the run game. I think he impacts plays in so many different ways. He has so many different ways to win. And that's who I would love for the Chiefs. And, I wonder about the arm length a little bit. People talk about, first off, can we let the guy measure his arms first? Like, people have already written this prospect off because of his alleged arm length. I remember Troy Fatanu, the tackle from Washington. Everyone was like, oh, guard, he's a guard, he's a guard. He shows up to the combine and has like 34-inch arms. Like, oh, okay, well, you're a tackle, and now he plays tackle in the NFL. But, defensive line's a huge need, so I think that there's definitely some impact of NIL there.
Yeah. A couple quick ones for you. Do you have a draft crush, or maybe you just gave us that one with Ruben Bain?
Well, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the fact that I am doing 100 prospects in 100 days, 100 scouting reports coming out each day about a player in the draft, over 800 words and a film cut up.
Wow.
Don't ask me why I did it. Is it because I hate my family? Is it because I hate myself? I'm not sure. Actually, here's what it is. Not to get too cheesy. I feel like we do very, very few things in your life in our lives at 100%? When was the last time you tried your absolute hardest at something?
God, 20 years ago, maybe?
Yeah, so like that's why I did 100. I said I'm going to do 100 players because I'm going to give my 100% to this.
Nice.
So today is let's see here. I got to pull it up. But my draft crush, and this is kind of relevant with Mr. Rishi Rice, who seems to be in the news all the time. Mekhi Lemon, the wide receiver from USC.
Yeah.
This isn't a little humble story. He's the Blitnikoff winner. This is day 6 of 100. Sorry, I looked a little bit ahead because I could not stand doing that. So I'm about 21 prospects in.
Good for you.
But Mekhi Lemon, what I love about him, I call him Pocket Puka Nacua. He is really good after the catch. He is really good at the catch point. Despite his size, he ranks in the 80th percentile of contested catches and ranks in the first percentile of drops. He does not drop the ball. He is a good route runner. He's a natural separator. And the label that people are going to put on him because he's smaller is going to be like, oh, well, he's a slot only. We heard that people talk about Jackson Smith and Jigba that way. We heard people talk about Emeka Ifuka that way. We heard people talk about lots of players in the NFL, Amon-Ra St. Brown, who also played at USC, as slot onlys. And now we just know those guys as some of the best wide receivers in the NFL. So I just, to me, he's such a fun player to watch. He blocks his butt off in the run game. Every time he's on the field, explosive things happen. And I would love for the Chiefs to draft for him. I would not worry about any overlap with Rashee Rice because who even knows if he's going to be on the team this year, the following year. And again, I just want a safe player. And Mekhi Lemon, I feel really good about his ability to be a contributing NFL player very quickly.
Last one for you. Do you have an offensive coordinator preference, assuming that Matt Nagy will be elsewhere?
Oh, well, for me, I really like Spencer Whipple. He's the quarterback coach in Jacksonville. He was on the UMass staff with Liam Cohen as well, too. Like, I think that's the type of name you want to target because people have already done that. Oh, what if Mike McDaniel came to Kansas City? Look, he's not coming to Kansas City to not call plays with Andy whenever he's getting head coach interviews, you know? And I think Cliff Kingsbury is a name that a lot of people, that one would be at least a little bit interesting because you wonder succession plan there with Andy Reid. But ultimately, you want a guy who has not taken an OC job, someone who's already got a McVay or a Shanahan stink on him, and then they can come and get the glow up with Andy Reid. And that guy would probably be here for 1 year, honestly, if things go well, because it's like, all right, he's been a Shanahan guy, now he's an Andy guy, and he's ready to be a head coach. But you look at the trajectory of some of these guys like Nate Shieldhouse, which is everyone's darling, a St. Pius guy.
Rutgers.
He's also going to be a rocket ship because of the league incentive on minority hiring, right? Like you hire him as your OC, he could be a head coach next year, and you're going to get a draft pick. So those type of guys, I think, are the guys that they need to target. Again, guys who are in run-first incorporated offenses. If I had to lean one way versus Kafka or Nagy, I'm probably leaning Kafka. At least he's went and called plays with someone else that's not an Andy Reid guy.
Yeah.
And also I kind of like guys who have at least had the opportunity to be in a head coaching role for some time, just to like game day operations.
Yeah. Bryce Carter, Arrowhead Addict, great stuff, man. Really appreciate the time. We will definitely be catching up along the way as we get closer and closer to the draft, and as you continue to churn out the 100 prospects in 100 days, you madman. Thank you, Bryce. Appreciate you, brother.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. There's Bryce Carter. Day number 6 of 100 prospects in 100 days, over 800 words, film cut-ups, and everything about the different prospects. And
the Price is right.
Is that right? Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
I wonder if he's ever heard that.
No, he has not. Just like I have never heard Mr. Anderson. Yeah, it's never happened.
No, it's James Anderson.
James Anderson. It's never happened at all. By the way, I love that. A different name. Said next OC preference, and he said, Spencer Whipple, the quarterback's coach in Jacksonville. That's coached under Liam Cohen. It's a different system. The Jags go under center. They don't run a bunch of RPOs. Certainly not to the level that Kingsbury and the Kansas City Chiefs do. Jacksonville, the 11th most plays under center, and the Jags are the 32, 31, 30, 29, 20, 27th most RPOs. So I kind of like that aspect, going under center and not RPOing all day. That's an interesting name. Quarterback's coach for the Jags. Trevor Lawrence had his best year with Liam Cohen. So, it's a different system, different voice. We'll see. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling. Rough weekend for the local college teams. Darren Peterson played. Didn't matter. Missouri did their Missouri thing and took a great start and lost at Ole Miss. And somehow Kansas is still beating Mizzou. Talk about how that was at Ole Miss. And Kansas State can't get over the hump and find the plays late to win a crucial game, now 0-3 in the Big 12. We'll talk some college basketball coming up next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy. We'll talk with Mick Schaefer coming up at 1 o'clock. We got Learn Funniest Best in the 1 o'clock hour. About an hour from now, less than an hour from now, we're going to do our Learn Funniest and Best from the weekend. Boy, the best from the weekend was nobody that's a fan of the local college basketball teams because Mizzou, KU, K-State, all going on the road, all losing this weekend. Mizzou losing to Ole Miss, KU losing to West Virginia, and Kansas State losing to Arizona State. And
that sucked because they're all basically standalone.
Yeah, that's right.
To an extent. So you're just watching at 11, KU, was it 2, K-State?
2:30, something like that.
Yeah, and then, was it 5 from his, you're like, great. All 3 local schools just, in all games they should have won. It wasn't like these are 3 games where, yeah, I get the road aspect, but the point still remains. These are 3 teams you should beat, and all 3 fell, and I think all 3 have storylines that come away that are slightly alarming.
Yeah. K-State, I mean, I know it was a road game. Again, we talk about road game, but Arizona State's the second worst team in the conference.
Yeah.
And, it's Arizona State, it's Utah, it's it's Colorado. Like, those are the teams that are going to be near the bottom of the conference. And it's one thing, like, losing by 10 to BYU, okay, yeah. Getting blown out by Arizona on the road, maybe the number 1 team, maybe the national champion, it's on the road. Then you got Arizona State, and I know it's on the road, and maybe if that was a home game, you would have taken care of business, and that's unfortunate that Arizona State, one of the weaker teams, is a road game for you. Just as Colorado, another one of the weaker teams in the Big 12, is a road game for Kansas State, but could not find a way to get it done, and it's barreling towards buyout conversation. Maybe it's already there. I think for a lot of K-State fans, it is already there. But if you're talking about, what is realistic buyout conversation, it may not be there this offseason with that. I mean, come back home and beat UCF on Wednesday. I know they're a top 25 team, but they are, somewhere middle, upper middle, lower top of the Big 12. They're a beatable team. It's a winnable game, and it's at home on Wednesday. Take care of business there, and we'll see what happens, moving forward from K-State's standpoint. But it's a bad weekend, but it's just been a terrible season so far, quite frankly, for Kansas State.
K-State lost while having fewer turnovers, and Arizona State went 3 of 22 from 3. They shot 14%. 14.
Yeah.
I mean, you lose that game, it wasn't like, oh man, Arizona State shot lights out. They were just filling it up. They were great. Arizona State, 3 of 22 from 3. That's not a fluke. That you probably should have lost by more, is what that is. Because you went 13 of 31, 42%. I know that's not the only stat that matters. I know it's not the end-all, be-all. Bashir was great from behind the arc. But, man, to me, that doesn't scream fluke. This screams, this is who K-State is. They can't guard, by the way. We knew that. They can't guard a lick. And I don't know where they go from here, man. It is bad in Manhattan because Bashir and Haggerty are really good pieces. You have 2 guys who I think those guys are it. Castillo off the bench traditionally has been pretty good as a 6th man type of role, right? Where he is your microwave. He had a bad game, but typically he's your microwave. But outside of that, Nate Johnson, they still have no. When you have 2 guys you feel comfortable about starters, and outside of that, I think you really don't. I mean, this is just not a. It's just not a good team. And you gave your right all that money to Jerome Tang, because you were scared that Arkansas was going to take him.
Sometimes you got to call the bluff. Sometimes you got to be like, if you're going to go to Arkansas, you're going to go to Arkansas. But contractually connecting this for the next 3 or 4 years, hoping that it will be closer to what it was in the first run. I mean, I understood why they did that, because you felt like you had a really good thing going and you felt like it was just the beginning, and whether good year, bad year, rough, one go of it, but you'll get back to what you were the year before. It hasn't been that. And like Kansas and Missouri, two teams that we were talking about a little bit differently after their win, in the week, where Kansas has that crazy comeback against TCU and wins in overtime, and Missouri has the crazy start to their SEC season, being 2-0 for the first time in their history in basketball, winning at Rupp Arena for the first time in history. And you're going, okay, what do they do now heading to Ole Miss for, Mizzou? Do they capitalize on a 2-0 start? Now they lose, and you go, what, a week ago on Saturday morning, if you would have said Missouri starts 2-1, oh, sign me up, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, hey, they're going to start 2-1. Who do they lose to? Ole Miss? Oh, my God, yes. 100%. That's not a bad loss on the road, and you get a win like Florida? You get a win like Kentucky on the road? Yeah, absolutely. You would take that all day. But it's unfortunate because the opportunity was there if they had played better against Ole Miss. And as I mentioned, that Kansas beats them again because A.J. Storr isn't at Kansas. He goes to Ole Miss and he drops and he can't miss 26. A freaking bucket in the – what do you have, 24 of his 26 in the second half, it felt like?
Yeah.
And the guy was just hitting shot after shot after shot. And I'm like, where was that A.J. Storr last year for Kansas? And why did that A.J. Storr show up at Oxford on Saturday night?
Well, I think he's a guy that needs to be the guy. He's not good as a role player. He has to be the focal point, and I think we saw that if he is the – I know he came off the bench in this game too, but when he's the focal point of the offense, it can run through him. When he has to be a secondary or even tertiary piece, he doesn't fit. That's just not his role. I think there's a longer conversation about Kansas, so I'll go Missouri first real quick. I thought Mark Mitchell, again, is a dude. I think Jaden Stone, as we see, again – really opens up this offense. Again, I think Sean Phillips has some nice plays. The athleticism, even on that one dunk where he just cocked back and yammed on the guy was impressive. It does come down to some of the inconsistencies with Ant Robinson, what we've seen game to game. And then I think Jacob Cruz, I don't know if cause for concern, but now it's back-to-back games where it's, 3 points and 5 points when he was going to be your, not Caleb Grill, because Caleb Grill was, I think, an elevation of him. It's nice that Trent Pierce has shown a little bit here, but even he didn't have a great game, because if you're having Jacob Cruz go 1 of 5, Trent Pierce 2 of 8, that's 3 of 13 from maybe your two best three-point shooters. Jaden Stone's in that conversation as well, but 3 of 13 from those guys, you're not going to win many games. Mizzou's not going to win many games because they need those guys to score. I don't know if disheartened was the right way, but I think we fully see the inconsistencies of this Missouri team where they can beat most teams any given night when they're healthy like this, but they can lose to almost any given team on any given night, which I think is going to be the curse of this team because their non-con was so weak. They need to win, 22, 23 games?
I think if they can get to, I don't think, getting to 10 wins in conference play, they started off 2-0, so it's like, okay, you're 2-0. Can you go 500 the rest of the way? Can you go 8-8 the rest of the way?
I don't know if 10-8. I don't know if 10-8 gets you.
10-8 gets you in. 10-8 in the SEC gets you in. I don't
even
think
with the non-con.
Yeah, even with the non-con, I think 10-8 gets you in the SEC.
By the way, I think it's close.
Yeah, but if you can get to that, I don't know that they're keeping a 10-8 team in the SEC out of the NCAA tournament. 9-9, 8-10. It depends on which wins you pick up along the way. And that's what this one sort of turned out to be, is if you can find a way to win this one, it's like, okay, now you're 3-0. Now you only have to go, 7 wins the rest of the way to get to 10? To be 10-8? You go 7-8 the rest of the way?
You know what's interesting with this team?
And you still have Mississippi State and South Carolina and Mississippi State again, and you get Oklahoma twice. That means you at least get them at home once. You start to make the case that there's 3, there's 4, there's 5, maybe 6. Okay, can you find a way to win 2 over the next middle to top of the SEC teams the rest of the way? But Mississippi is one of those that's going to be, quote unquote, an easier win in the SEC, even though it's a road game.
What is a positive is they were 22 assists on 25 field goals. That's great. Unselfish. Ball movement. You like that. The reason why I'm using it as a slight negative, it shows the lack of one-on-one, get you a bucket ability. They can't create. I'm like, they can create for others to an extent a little bit, but Mark Mitchell is your only guy, and a lot of that's just getting to the rim and getting fouled, which is fine. That's a great skill set to have. Phenomenal skill set to have. But it's not like you're seeing Ant Robinson get you a bucket. There's no guard on this team that really gets you a bucket, right? Jaden Stone, catch and shoot. Jacob Cruz, catch and shoot. Anthony Robinson, creator to help set up some of these catch and shoots for those guys. But they don't really have a guy who can take you one-on-one and get you a bucket. And I think, again, when you look at the assists to field goals, the initial reaction is that's a great positive, but it also shows the lack of one-on-one creation that this Missouri team offensively has.
Well, and there's an absolute death knell for this team, and that is they went 12 of 24 from behind the arc.
I mean, free throw shooting.
Sorry, not from behind the arc. From 12 of 24 from behind the arc. Awesome. That's not a death knell. That's going to get you in the second weekender.
They can't shoot free throws.
They've been this year one of the worst free throw shooting teams in America, and they go 12 of 24 on the road against Ole Miss. Ant Robinson gets fouled shooting a three. He goes 1 of 2.
He's the yips, dude. Since halfway through last year, he was a 90% free throw shooter.
1 of 3 goes 1 and 2. Makes one, misses the other two. You've got Jaden Stone that's was better in this one, but he missed free throws against Kentucky and Florida, and they don't have somebody that you go, he's at the free throw line, he's going to make it. Maybe Jacob Cruz, but Tamar Bates last year was that's who you get the ball to, you foul him, and he's going to make the free throws. They don't have that this year at all with anybody. And Ant Robinson's your point guard, and he's shooting 60% at the free throw line.
He has halfway through last year, the first half, he was like a 90% free throw shooter. And then he ended up at like 70 or high 60s, low 70s.
Yeah.
And then it's transitioned, it's carried over to where he looks robotic. It doesn't look smooth. It looks like he's in his head with his free throws.
Yeah, and he's been in his head for almost a year now because it started in SEC play last year.
Correct.
Where it went downhill pretty quickly.
Real quickly.
And now that just has continued to be the case, and they don't have the guy that is just a dead-eye shooter that you're not going to worry about him at the free throw line. Every single person that you send to the free throw line for this Missouri team, it's going to be a question of, are they going to make one? Will they make two? We'll find out. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, and I do want to talk about KU. And this is a different team put together, but it's starting to have the same feel of the teams we've seen the last couple of years. And it's been the transfer portal NIL era, and it's kind of been a theme. A 1-2 start for KU to start Big 12 play, and the one win was the crazy comeback against TCU at home. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll talk KU hoops next. I will continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Learn Funniest Best coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. KU loses to West Virginia. They get ready for a big one tomorrow night on ESPN, 8 o'clock, Super Tuesday. Jayhawks and Cyclones, the number 3 team in the land, heading to Kansas. And what I thought would be, before the season started, one of those massive, maybe top 10 matchups, top 15 matchups with Kansas and Iowa State. I mean, it's a top 25 matchup with KU at number 22, but they lose at West Virginia. And one of the things is still, and I wonder what Bill Self will talk about tonight with Brian Haney in the in Hawk Talk, but it still seems like learning how to play with Darren Peterson, learning what it is with all of the guys on the floor and when to be aggressive and when to defer and when to be a guy that you feel like I can be the alpha even though number 22 is there, or I grab the rebound and I didn't throw it to, Darren Peterson and let him go to work. And he played 31 minutes back-to-back games, so that's good.
And he didn't play the end.
Yeah, well, those things happen. But
this was the game
losing by 11.
Was this the game that he came back in, hit a 3, and then immediately came back out? Was this that one? He comes out of every game late, so I always forget. I get him confused. But I think
he hit a 3 late in this game.
I think he came back in, hit a 3, and then came immediately back out. And you're like, to me, again, I get it. I don't mind watching them lose, but I also understand the frustration of Kansas fans being like, "Are you good or not? Are you good late? You come in and hit a 3, and then you immediately come out of the game. It's great you hit it.
Right.
Great you hit it.
He can't. But I mean, at that point, are you playing offense, defense? If you're Bill Self, he hits a 3 and pulls you to win in what 7? I think it was. With 2 minutes to play. Is that one of the threes that he hit in the game?
He just came back against TCU.
Right. You're not wrong about that.
I don't know. To me, this Kansas team, you're right. They don't know how to play together. They look completely different when he's on versus off. For Missouri, I was laughing about the assist to field goals, how that's great in a nutshell, but you would like to see a little more, maybe one-on-one, the ability to create. The opposite of Kansas, they had 11 assists on 26 field goals, because a lot of it is you give the ball to Darren Peterson, and then you stand around. And then you see him come back in the game. And by the way, this is not a Darren Peterson hate conversation, because he's amazing. And by the way, if you want a guy that can get to the free throw line and make them, that's what he does. It is pure every single time. I think part of my frustration, which might be, I don't know if Kansas fans feel the same way, but from the outside looking in, is Badunga. I understand you look at some of the numbers, and they don't look bad. I know you look at the percentages, they don't look bad. He needs to be way more aggressive. I don't get this. I don't get this at all. Melvin Council is one of the best players getting downhill in all of college basketball. The fact he doesn't have 8 assists with Badunga having 8 field goals blows my mind. Blows my mind.
And he's largely been a disappointment for that reason. The guy, for being as physically gifted as he is. I mean, he can run the floor. He can, he's huge. He's athletic. But he just gets so timid around the basket.
Yes. He's always, it feels like, going away from the basket. Just to me, and maybe I'm off base here, but with the athleticism of Melvin Council and Floyd Badunga, the fact they don't have a 2-man game going, even just throw some lobs, make the defense into an awkward spot, because Melvin Council can finish, and Flory's athletic enough to finish going up. And
he's not a bad free throw shooter either.
I don't get it.
Well, I think what the concern for me would be is that, this is a team that's still top 20 in defense in Ken Pom and is right around 50-ish in offense. They've been so good in quote-unquote three-point defense, which I'm more of a fan of, and I side with the analytics of the best three-point defense is keeping teams from shooting threes. And their three-point defense is still number 6 in the country, but the last 2 games against TCU and West Virginia, they've given up 44% from behind the arc.
Agreed.
On 60 attempts. It's not 44% on 20 shots. It's 44% on 60 attempts, and they've had teams score 186 points. And it's like, well, yeah, but TCU game went into overtime. Overtime's only 5 minutes and not an extra 20 minutes. It was 100 points they gave up to TCU in that game in 45 minutes. They gave up 86 in 40 minutes on the road to West Virginia, and a 16-0 run in 5 minutes. TCU went on that run at Allen Fieldhouse where it just felt like they were getting anything they wanted offensively. And it was like, oh, my God, where's the defense? Like, they're not playing defense. And with West Virginia, it was like For 5 minutes, West Virginia did whatever they wanted to.
Just open
offensively.
threes.
Open threes, got to their spot, layups, stops.
Offensive rebounds.
It was just like, it was a 5 minutes of basketball that we've seen in back-to-back games defensively where KU just looks lost on the floor. And I don't know how many times I've seen a Bill Self team have a 5 minute stretch where they look lost defensively on the floor in a season, let alone back-to-back games. Let alone back-to-back games in the second half.
Honor Huff, fun to watch, but I think even Kansas got lucky that he didn't have more, because I thought he had a couple threes that, as good of a shooter as he is, a couple threes where he was wide open. Same thing with the Eagle staff. I mean, this is the most open threes. I'm glad you brought it up. In a 2-game span I have seen in a Bill Self era thing ever.
Yeah, it's like, well, their three-point defense is awesome. Well, they're giving up open threes now. So what was going on earlier, what's going on now? Again, I think the best way to prevent three-point shooters from making shots is to not let them shoot. That's the best three-point defense, is to avoid them shooting threes. The game has become so good and so skilled that, it's like, well, this guy shoots 38% from three. What does he shoot from three when he's open? Because that's 38% overall. What does he hit against fastballs, not just change-ups too?
Twitter thinks he's funny.
Shame on you nerds.
His wife and kids think he's lame.
No!
We couldn't get Paul, so we're stuck with Mick.
Yep. Okay, still got it going on.
Mick Schaefer on the Zone with Jason Anderson.
Hold your ears, folks. It's showtime.
That's right. It's Mick Schaefer hanging out with us here on this Monday edition of the show. Hi, Mick. How was your weekend, man?
Hey, it's a good weekend. How are you guys? A lot of football.
There was football that went on. Yep.
We still have one more day of it.
There was
Thursday,
football and stuff.
wrapping around to Monday.
So much football that went on. Yes, for sure. Mick Schaefer's presented by Advent Health Sports Park at Blue Hawk. I saw Mick Schaefer last night. Squat up. What's up, squat? I'll never say that again. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
I apologize.
Never be invited again.
We were just going to sit there and
bad.
just let him just sit in that awkward.
You know, Mick, I was actually wondering if Daniel Sperry would actually show up.
Why is that?
Because he's a big 49ers fan.
Huge 49ers fan.
So I'm watching the game and I'm getting ready to leave because, we show up and then we got to, do people know that it's taped, Mick?
We've said that before. I think it's
okay.
fine.
Oh my God. I was like, oh my God. No, wait. Daniel Sperry had 3 hours to spare.
I had highlights of the first two games on the show last night, but not the third. Not the Chargers Patriots.
Weird. So I'm getting ready and I'm like, if this thing goes into overtime, if I'm Daniel, huge 49ers fan, I'm like, I'm just texting going, sorry, guys, I'll be there when I'm there. I'm not going to be driving
and a lot of times
in the
it takes
overtime.
us 5, 10, 15 minutes to kind of get going. There's always some technical stuff. I know, and you've been on it. You didn't even know.
You
I thought the whole time that's live.
You thought it was live. You told everybody to watch. This is weird.
Watch at 8:30.
You guys are cutting into the Sunday night football game for us. This is weird, but they're doing it. It's totally
I thought
random.
we were the halftime show.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you are. Well, you are a bad bunny. So look at you over there hopping all around. But I was like, man, if this thing goes into overtime, I feel like I can take my time then.
Didn't go for 2 there to go up 6. It was going to be hard to go to overtime.
Unless they missed an extra point. And
they did. But it was 4.
But it was 4 though. But then you score the touchdown and kick a field goal.
Why didn't they go for 2?
Because it was like 2.5 minutes or something left to go at that point.
So I posed that question, and they didn't need to. I'm like, well, actually, there's a big difference between 6
and 5.
And some guy wrote, well, Shanahan's a lot smarter than you and me. I'm like, I agree.
Oh, cool.
I agree. Okay, not having nothing to do with this, but my only rationale for that is like, okay, maybe he's playing a little 4D chess. He's thinking a couple possessions down the road to where, like, hey, let's go up 5 now. They score a touchdown. I'm going to come down and win the game with a field goal.
Okay.
But it's still the team that didn't know the overtime rules.
Yes.
In the Super Bowl.
I also saw somebody tweet out and go, well, you go if you miss the 2-point conversion and maybe like fumble or throw an interception and they return it, now they're only down 2.
That is true.
Now they're down 2 and a field goal wins the game, and you got to think about that too. Like, I don't think if you're going for 2, you're thinking that you're going to turn the ball over and it's going to go 100 yards the other way.
Once in a decade mistake.
It's going to go the other way. The odds of you missing an extra point are better than them returning a 2-point conversion. Yes, immensely higher percentage of missing an extra point than returning a 2-point conversion for 2 points the other way. It's like, yeah, I was surprised by that too, but that wasn't as bad as all the boneheaded things that Matt LaFleur and the Packers did against the Bears.
Yeah, I didn't understand those timeouts when they were taking them.
They called a timeout and then came out and had to delay a game.
Yeah.
After a timeout, you had to delay a game.
Well, and then you're just trying. It felt like they tried to take the steering wheel and drive this thing home at the start of the second half, which is always. I've seen Andy Reid do that multiple times in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Twice, 18 points. One was, what were they up? Was it 21, 24? They were up on the Colts in 2013.
It was a lot.
Did you say 21? Oh, up. I thought you did the score thing.
No, they were up by like almost 4 touchdowns, I want to say.
It was a massive comeback. They were definitely up 21-3 on the Bengals. 21-10 at halftime.
Instead of just playing the game that you're dominating, they start doing math, calculating possessions. Let's play safe. And that doomed them. And apparently it doomed them like all 3 times when they played the Bears, because the Bears just like apparently made halftime adjustments. The Packers did not.
The Bears are 2-1 this year against the Packers, and they have ran 0 plays with the lead.
No way.
In those 3 games. They're 2-1. They have run 0 plays because they ran 0 plays last night with the lead, and they have run 0 plays now in 3 games with the lead, and they're 2-1 in those games. And by the way,
seems sustainable.
If they play again, I'm going to go ahead and take the Bears to take the lead late and then hold on and not actually run another play. But not even taking a knee. Not even taking a knee with the lead in 2 wins. Like the last play of the game is the other team not coming back to tie that thing, and that's how the game ends.
I tell you, that 4th down throw that Caleb made, not a huge Caleb Williams fan, still not, but that was a big boy throw.
There's nobody in the NFL that can make that throw.
Nobody.
There's only one
gets.
person. According to Ben Solak, only Josh Allen is in the, quote, stratosphere of Caleb Williams' escapability and arm talent to make that throw.
I don't know
How
who that is.
dumb are people?
That's fine. I don't need to know who he is.
The dumbest.
So
just the dumbest.
Even in the stratosphere is Josh Allen.
Well, I think there's a lot of people in the stratosphere, or else we'd all be dead.
No.
How
There's only 2 in Caleb Williams' stratosphere.
How
There's only 2 of them.
hyperbolic can you get?
I don't know.
Well, everything needs to
Apparently
be
he
an
can.
absolute.
Yes.
Right.
This
always was the best thing or the worst thing that anybody has ever seen.
Yeah. He works for ESPN.
Okay.
He's an NFL analyst for ESPN. And I don't know. Sometimes it feels
Does he
like
watch football?
Sometimes it feels like he hates the Chiefs and Mahomes, and sometimes it feels like, okay, so what are you doing here? Because he wrote about how Mahomes is having one of the best seasons in extending plays this year, earlier this year, which was odd for him to say. He's having one of the best seasons we've seen of extending plays, which would be sort of, I don't know, escapability, arm talent, things like that. So he had a story about that, and then writes, only Caleb Williams and Josh Allen are even close in having this unbelievable ability to make that throw. And it's like, man, he does things so often that it's just sort of just brushed aside. You know,
and
he's the basis of comparison for everybody.
Put more than 3 guys in that group, too. I mean, okay, he escaped out left.
Escapability and arm talent.
He turned, and okay, he didn't throw it 75 yards. He made a really good throw. I mean, most NFL quarterbacks can make that throw.
See, this is what
now,
sucks.
on a regular basis, no, and I would say Caleb Williams hasn't made that on a regular basis.
Right, and escapability and arm talent, wouldn't Cam Ward be in there? Not that he's a good quarterback, but just, he escapes pockets and his arm is so good he can throw whatever. Okay, so if that's all we're doing, we're not saying you have to be good anywhere else.
Prisoner of the moment. Instead of just celebrating a great play and calling it a great play, it's got to be over the top.
And this is why it sucks, because then you use this, and as we're talking about, we use it into a negative for, like, Caleb Williams can't do this, or he doesn't do it consistently. It's unfair for him. He's a good player when he has to make plays like this, but he's not the best, or else they wouldn't. I lose my mind.
You can't.
I lose my mind when we just forget that Patrick exists,
well, you can't
or that
have,
Josh Allen exists.
Yeah, well, you can't have, like, every quarterback in college that has this crazy, like Trinidad Chambliss that had that against Georgia and was like, this is as close as we've seen to, like, Patrick Mahomes. And Caleb Williams is like, this guy feels like he could be Patrick Mahomes. And then he makes a Patrick Mahomes play and go, there's nobody in the NFL that could do that except him and maybe Josh Allen. I don't remember them saying Caleb Williams is the next Josh Allen. It's like the basis for comparison for all these quarterbacks no longer exists because he's not in the playoffs this year.
Well, I absolutely hated the way he treated his teammates and his coaches that entire first half when they're losing. Every time you cut to him, I mean, he's just throwing a fit and MFing everybody out there, right?
He and Nick Sirianni would be a fantastic
They'd be great
couple.
Together. You reminded me of Tom Brady on the sidelines when he was.
Well, and Brady talked about Sirianni and A.J. Brown. You know, sometimes emotions are running high, and these things. Like, really? I mean, I don't know. At some point, when emotions are running high, at some point the adult in the room has to take over. And the problem is, I think, is Dom the adult in the room?
Dom, their security guard. That's like a caricature of a
fights
people.
with players.
Yeah, and is carrying a Labubu doll now with the Eagles. And I found out yesterday what a Labubu doll was.
But he also has. I don't know. But he also has a headset.
Why does he have a headset? I know.
Is he the new OC now? Is he calling plays?
No, you have like an earpiece. Maybe you're part of security, and you need to communicate with people across the field.
The last thing that I want to know is what's going on in his head. The last thing.
Big old head.
It's odd because I remember for Michigan, Brady Hoke coach there, he didn't even have a headset. They were like, Brady, you just stay away. We got this. We'll call the offense, the defense. You just stay away. Should call timeout, guys. just walk away, Brady. We got this. We'll handle all of this. You don't even need a headset. Then you had Todd Grantham that had the Britney Spears microphone that came out just right over his mouth there. You could barely see it. Had that going for him. There was some fun guys back then. But now I guess Dom gets to wear a headset. And
so back to A.J. Brown. I mean, if you run on that shape of a treadmill, you're not going to be just a normal person.
That's a good point.
See, when you do these commercials with athletes, it's always going to bite you. Like when Patrick got injured with the All About the Brace, they had to take off that commercial with Megan Trainor.
Haven't seen it since.
With the
We've
A.J.
seen
Brown
Trey
one.
Smith in that crossing guard.
Yeah.
We are watching Trey Smith in that crossing guard a lot.
But A.J. Brown with that one, you got to take that down now. I guess you could say he was open. I guess he was open.
He was open.
They didn't say he had to catch it.
Yeah.
But like when athletes like, don't drop the ball this Christmas, and you're like, oh man, that he just had a big Nelson Aguilar just dropped that ball.
Yeah. It's you can't.
Commercials with athletes can be very hit and miss if they have a bad game.
But you can't have a season where you are bitching about not getting the ball, and then in the biggest game you drop a huge pass right in your hands.
He doesn't care. He's not embarrassed.
Yeah,
that's how Tyreek. They work that way. They just say stuff, and then whatever happens, happens. They move on.
It's like, oh well, if I got the ball more,
no self-awareness. It's actually a great way to go through life.
I wish.
Yeah, imagine if you just didn't care.
Yeah, didn't care. I mean, if you're a hypocrite or whatever happens, it's on to the next thing. Actually, it's a great mindset when you're playing a sport.
Yeah.
Most of us forget about it. Like, oh, my God. 2 quarters ago.
Yeah.
13 years ago.
I almost fumbled
You got to
the
be a
ball.
goldfish. Yeah.
You got to be a goldfish.
In middle school, I want that shot back.
Yes. Mick Schaefer was with us hanging out here at Advent Health Sports Park at Blue Hawk. I felt really good about my picks in the wild card. Except for the Chargers and the Jags.
Why do you want to touch me?
Because he was giving you a high five about your Bills.
We got it right.
Because we did on Friday, we said which is the team we put money on to make the Super Bowl. Bills haven't made the Super Bowl yet. I don't know if you know this or not.
But Mick and I got it right.
You said Jags?
I had the Jags and Seahawks because I thought the Jags were the best team playing the best team in the AFC. The worry was the Bills, but they were at home, and the Bills are terrible against the run, and the Jags do like to run the ball. I thought the matchup they could get by them, and if they got past the Bills, I really like the Jags.
Now the Texans, is that right?
Texans, yes.
I mean, is he trying to be wrong here?
No, I'm just trying to not
sound off. Last night we had Texans. We had who else was picked?
Steelers.
The Steelers
and Bills.
And the Bills. The correct answer was picked once.
Good job.
The Steelers.
But you and I are we know ball.
But here's the thing: who you tell me who to pick if I can't pick the Bills, Broncos, and Patriots?
Why can't you pick those?
Because I don't want to.
Oh,
because I refuse to pick those teams.
I think the Steelers win.
So next Monday, if it's a matchup of those,
this is what you want, not what you think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You'd rather be wrong than I guess
than a traitor.
Yeah,
than live in reality.
Than a traitor, than some hypocrite. I don't want to be a hypocrite that doesn't remember the things that we talk about and say, you know what I mean, and just move on like A.J. Brown.
Yeah, I don't think Chiefs fans should hate the Bills.
I don't mind Josh Allen.
The Broncos, they've delivered a couple decades worth of pain.
Correct.
Oh, I'm not
the
picking
Bills have been the Washington Generals to your Globetrotters.
I'm picking the Bills to win against the Broncos.
You just said I can't pick the Bills, is what I'm saying.
No, Bills, Broncos, and Patriots to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I don't even like plumbers because it reminds me of Jake Plummer. I know they're spelled different, but I don't care.
I don't like horses. They remind me of Elway.
Dang it. Beat me to it.
Yeah. But if I pick them to go to the Super Bowl right now, I don't want to do that. But I will pick the Bills to beat the Broncos because what happened in that game against the Jags is the best quarterback showed up and played like one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL against a team that is really good defensively. But the other team's quarterback did not make some of those plays and made a really all-time dumb decision on first down to throw to a guarded player high over the middle. Like if he was open over the middle, yeah, throw it. Absolutely. Get a little quick start to the drive. But it almost felt like Trevor Lawrence started that play thinking they're going to over guard the outside and the sideline. Sure. So the middle is going to be open. Yeah. I'm hitting Jacoby Myers here in the middle. And they stuck a linebacker behind him, and Tre'Davious White was stuck on him like glue. But I'm still throwing it, and I'm going to throw it high at that point.
Trey White had an insane game. I was glad for him that he made that final play because
weird. I wouldn't.
Well, no, I just think that he deserved a lot of credit. The game he had, I thought, was incredible, and he hasn't been that type of player for 3 years now.
Thought it was odd that Trevor Lawrence ignores Jacoby Myers all game. and then in that moment tries to force it to Jacoby Myers there. But Josh Allen made the plays and was the quarterback to put on the cape, and that's why I'm saying the Bills are going to go to Denver and win that game, because it's going to be Josh Allen against probably a better overall team, but the best quarterback on the field is going to be playing for the Bills. The Jags, to me, are a better overall team than the Bills, but the best quarterback on the field was playing for the Bills, and he went out and played like that when they had to have it. I mean, he's carried the Bills a lot, and then the Bills literally carried him down to the 1 yard line in that game on the tush-push carry thing. I like how the right guard was actually running with the football. It was just running with the football.
You guys want to keep that rule in
Josh Allen's hands. Well, I don't want to keep the rule in where you can carry a player.
The Bills voted
I
against
know.
it.
Sean McDermott's very against the.
And by the way, you're supposed to throw a flag on somebody pulling a player. That happens all the time. Never gets flagged.
I also think you should be able to. I think the play should stop when the ball carrier is off the ground. So the ball carrier is no longer like if you're picking him up and holding him. Like I think at that point you're like, okay, can you? I don't know. That just.
That's hard to legislate. I'm sure there's a lot of times where Jalen Hurts is off the ground, going forward, getting pushed from behind. By the way, have you guys ever seen a defensive line fire off backwards?
That was great.
Like the Jaguars did.
I was wondering if they were going to take not a knee to where you lose a yard, but Josh Allen move up and take a knee.
It's tough there in that, like, you're still behind.
You're still behind.
Still behind.
It'd be 30. It'd be like 25 seconds left the next time you ran a play, and you would have 3 downs to pick up a half yard, while knowing the chances of, well, what if you have a false start or a guy lines up off sides? And it's a risk.
Would be the worst press conference after a game ever.
Might get fired on the spot if he does that.
And people, I saw so many people say, if they were smart, they would have kneeled. They just assume that you score a touchdown the one every single time. People just assume that. I'm like, you guys are absurd. How many times have we seen a fumble, a false start, a hold, anything happen?
The question would be, how many times have you seen that from the Bills and Josh Allen at the half-yard line?
Doesn't matter.
I mean, it does matter.
Their tush-push gets stopped because they go left every single damn time.
Except for the time they got carried
time
down
they
to the
did
1
it,
yard line.
and he went straight.
Okay, so then now you're sitting at the half-yard line, and the Jags are going, well, we don't know which way they're going. Like, if it was the Chiefs and they refused to do a quarterback sneak, at that point I'm going, well, just score a touchdown. It doesn't matter, score. Because the Chiefs might get stopped because they're probably going shotgun on 1st and goal from the half-yard line to hand off, and they might have a hold. Juwan Taylor might be lined up at the 10-yard line. Who knows what he's going to do? Not sure. He might leave early for a false start. Like, I'm not taking a chance at that point. I'm trying to score a touchdown. But the Bills, without a false start, obviously, you get 3 chances from the half-yard line to score a touchdown. I think you're doing that. I am on board of I'm just scoring because I'm not. I'm just going to score the touchdown. If they let me score, they let me score, and I'll put my defense out there and play. But
I got to think that the chances were better than not of the Jags scoring, getting a field goal with Cam Little there at the end. You had almost a minute left. And so, that was just a backbreaker of a play.
Yeah, it's like you got to get to
ran the ball.
You got to get to the 50.
Yeah,
get to the 50. You got a minute left, no timeouts, but you got 20 yards to go because they had the ball like the 30.
A 54-yarder in that game.
He did.
Yeah,
he
off
did.
the upright. I mean, it's not a guarantee. I feel like we just assume that you get to the 50. He's making that.
It's guaranteed to me.
I mean, 50%?
Take a dump in a box and mark guaranteed. I got extra time.
From the 50, I would say
anything
50.
is possible.
Under
that's 67 and 68.
50,
He's 2 for 2, though, right? From the 50, he's got one at 67 and one at 68. He also has a 70-yarder in preseason.
Has he not missed any 60-plus yarders?
I don't know. It sounds better to say that he's 2 for 2. You know what I mean, Mick?
For him from 68, which would be the 50, right? We had it at 18.
Boy, what if he was lining up?
33%?
But how awesome would that be, though?
Yeah, but see, if you only count his makes, he's 100% from 67-plus, according to Jason. If you only count his makes.
Yeah. What? How are you not understanding this? I feel like it's pretty straightforward.
Yes, he's perfect. So he's due for a miss. So he probably would have missed it.
Oh, wow. That's assumptions that we don't need to be making at this point. But the drama, if they're in that game and they're down by 3 and he's lining up, the ball's at the 50, but they're lining that ball up from the 42-yard line, from your own 42-yard line.
I would have loved
to kick a field goal to tie it. Oh my God, that would have been amazing.
A 70-plus yarder to. That's all I wanted was him to get down at like their own 48.
Well, he made the 70 in preseason.
That's like they get down like their own 48 or 47 and just say, "All right, we're going to try it, give it a shot." That would have been cinema.
Yeah, he is.
You don't see You don't see the field goal line they put out there because it's right across the stripe. It's right across the middle of the stripe. It blends in with the colors on the field. Where's that at? Don't we have another truck for this, right? Yeah, it's out there. It's just at the 50.
Midfield is green.
Yeah.
This is the field goal range you got to get to. They kick off. They down at 35. It's like, how many yards do you need for field goal range? 15. Okay. It's a crazy weapon that they have. If they would have taken advantage of that by not throwing on first down the interception to the Bills. And now, what would the matchup have been? So it would have been the winner of tonight's game playing Denver.
Correct.
On Sunday, if the Jags ended up winning that game, because it would be Jags heading to New England.
Correct.
On Saturday. Instead, it is Denver and
Broncos
Buffalo
can't be
on
happy.
Saturday.
I bet if you're the this is probably worst case scenario for the Broncos.
Yeah,
100%.
Get Texans or Steelers,
100%.
or you get the Bills, and they get the Bills. I'm not pumped about getting the Bills, and I think it would be great also, one, for Josh Allen and the Bills to win this game, because one, it knocks out the Broncos, but two, it means that Josh Allen in the playoffs would be 0-4 against the Chiefs and Mahomes and 9-2 against everyone else. He's 8-2 in his playoff career against every other team, 0-4 against the Chiefs.
Who else has eliminated him?
His first time in the playoffs, they lost at Houston, and that was the game where it was like, no, he intended to down the ball, even though he caught it and dropped it, and it was live for the Bills, but he intended to down it, so we're going to call it a touchback.
It was like the game where he looked like he dropped acid. Late in the game, it was a game that he just looked.
Was his rookie year?
Yeah,
I think it was the second year,
but it was like his first time. And you're like,
yeah,
what is going on? It looked like he was just overwhelmed and confused about what was happening.
18?
That was 19, because it was before the Texans came to Kansas City and took the 24-0 lead on the Chiefs in the divisional round.
That's right.
So then he lost in 22.
That was wild card. Okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
He lost in 2022 to the Bengals in the divisional round at home in a snow game that brought the Bengals to Kansas City for the rematch of that brought the Bengals with Burrowhead, because it was in Buffalo in the snow, and they said, we see y'all at Burrowhead. Yeah. They beat Buffalo in that game. Those are his only two losses in his career that aren't against the Kansas City Chiefs. So, we'll see what happens this weekend, and we'll see what happens tonight. It's right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. Learn Funniest Best next. I will continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy. Mick Schaefer is with us, presented by Advent Health Sports Park at Blue Hawk. Time for a little Learn Funniest Best.
Which is the deliciousness brought to you by Neutral. Keep it tasty on game day. Made with real vodka and real juice. Neutral is the ultimate game day drink. Just a phenomenal product. Just delicious. After the new year, trying to help on my diet.
Uh-huh.
You think I'm going to quit drinking? That's not going to happen.
You're out of your gourd if you think that.
But let's be a little healthier.
Uh-huh.
Some neutrals.
Yeah.
Delicious. Again, big pineapple neutral guy.
Yes. Learn Funniest Best. What I learned, I've already given out about 3 different learns today, and I said I had a number of them. So throughout the show, I guess I sprinkled in different learns. But I've got 2 different learns left. One, I learned that Derwin James doesn't know what it means sort of to be tough when it is the cold. He walked out pregame before the Patriots game with just shorts on, with shirtless and just shorts in 41-degree weather in Boston. But it had a feels like of 37. So, it's like, really? Is that what we're doing here? We're really doing that? Learn that that's not really that big of a deal. It's like when the Miami Dolphins players came out beforehand and weren't wearing like a shirt, and then they went back inside, and then they came out and didn't want to be there. Like, yeah, well, be tough when the game actually is going on.
Never understand that.
No, I don't either, and especially in 40-degree weather there. Because it's like, well, at kickoff it was like 36. Yeah, that wasn't kickoff. That was him warming up early there for that game.
And also, you're playing against other guys that do and think the same way. It's not like they're like, oh, I'm intimidated by this guy. What a psycho.
Derwin James does not care about the cold. I do. Well, bleep him and bleep you too, But what I learned too is, the Golden Globes last night, I learned that the TV show Adolescence got a lot of its flowers last night for how awesome the show is.
Never heard of it. What's it on?
Adolescence. It is on Netflix or Apple, one of the streaming services. But it's with Stephen Miller, who played Al Capone in Boardwalk Empire, and Hayden Stagg in Peaky Blinders, was the chef in Boiling Point.
I know.
Phenomenal actor. It's 6 episodes. All 6 episodes are one take, hour long. So it's
Sign me up.
camera the whole time.
Love that stuff.
It is a difficult watch for parents because the premise of the show is that his son is accused of murder as like a 13-year-old. And so
I'm fine with that.
It's him sort of learning that, okay, maybe he actually did it. Steve, the acting is unfreaking real. I mean, it's going from room to room. They go in cars, and it's one shot getting out of cars. Every single episode is one shot. And it won a bunch of the Golden Globes last night.
I always get antsy when it's like 28 minutes in on a 30-minute episode when they do that. I'm like, what if somebody, and surely it happens sometimes.
Right.
Somebody line, and everybody's like, oh, God.
These are hour-long episodes, all one shot.
All one take?
All one shot, one take. One
you hear him 3 times say line, but they left it in there.
Yeah. We'll write that into the script.
Yeah, we'll just write that into the script. Line over here, clear, line.
What's the movie, 1918? Is that what it is?
I think that's
the entire
what it is.
movie is one shot. They actually said that, no, we fudged it. It looks like it was all one shot, but there were 2 edits they made.
Oh, that sucks. Yeah, 6 episodes, every single one of them one shot. It's the acting is amazing, the script, the writing is unbelievable, all of it, and obviously one shot is crazy. It's just can be a little difficult watch because, oh my God, the emotions are pretty raw. And Stephen Miller,
it's kind of like a play, right? A play.
Yes.
You don't get
Dude, it's so good. I would recommend it to anybody. Just understand the premise is that you've got a dad and a mother trying to come to the grips of their 13-year-old son that in no way, shape, or form could ever do this. But then, okay, maybe he actually did kill, his junior high classmate.
Did he?
You'll have to watch. I don't want to
I probably won't do it.
But Stephen Miller's amazing.
I'm honest. I'm not.
But yeah, it was a great show. Got its flowers. What'd you learn from this weekend, Sterling, besides that?
The Zone loves Kelly's. Went to Kelly's for a friend's birthday, and guess what I see there?
The Zone?
Darcy on the dance floor.
Darcy on the dance floor?
I feel
old enough to go there?
Yeah, I feel a tap on my shoulder. I turn around, it's just Sterling. I'm like, oh my gosh.
I'm like, who's this good-looking guy? Huh?
I must have been tearing it up on the dance floor. I don't remember any of it.
You were dropping it low. I was impressed.
You dropped it.
Well, how old are you, 31, Sterling?
Yeah, I was the oldest guy there.
I was going to say,
by
you
about
maybe reassess your life decisions at that point?
I didn't really.
It's a bunch of what are you, 23?
Yeah,
23
I
minutes?
had two neutrals and called it good. I wasn't there to get wild. I was there I forgot about it. It was a friend's birthday, and I had just completely forgot about that I was going to go. I am in sweatpants watching football on the couch at 9:30, and I get a text that says, "Hey, you almost here, man?" And I'm like,
"Yeah."
Oh,
right
yeah.
around the corner.
Around the corner.
I had to stop at the ATM. I'll be there.
So about a half hour later, I was there, but it was fun. I like Kelly's. It's always a good time.
Sterling, almost there. How far away are you?
Normally, I'm an honest guy when it comes to that, but this
I always lie. If I'm 10 minutes away, I will say 5 minutes.
No, I'm right around the corner. I'm 10 minutes away.
Yeah. Pulling up.
Then it's easy to see that you were not there in the amount of time you said.
Heading that way, I just got out of the shower.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to I'm heading en route right now.
On my way means getting dressed.
Just woke up from a nap.
So Doris and so it was fun. So the Zone loves Kelly's.
By the way, the peppermint cut water, unbelievable.
Ooh.
It's like I can't remember what it tastes like. Chocolate milk. It was fantastic.
Well, it's not peppermint, but you know that's
well,
fine.
like
you ever had chocolate milk before?
Peppermint chocolate milk
tastes like a chocolate milk with a candy
Never had
cane in
chocolate
it.
milk before, but I think peppermint tastes like it.
I've had peppermint, and I'm going to assume that's what chocolate milk tastes like. It was like cinnamon toast
or maybe
crunch.
Thin Mints. Thin Mints got a little peppermint and chocolate.
Dude, it was a cereal. It was like it was the cinnamon toast crunch cereal, and it tasted just like Fruity Pebbles. It was like unbelievable and chili. What did you learn from the weekend, Mick Schaefer?
Okay, so I learned that Miami is in the national championship game thanks to Caitlin Clark.
Really?
Because of Caitlin Clark torching Haley Von Lith in March,
makes sense.
that Final Four.
Yeah.
She transferred to TCU. At the time, the Cavender twins were committed to TCU, but Haley Cavender's like, I'm not having. She's going to take my spot, or we'll,
can't be
battle
more than
for playing time.
Can't be more than
they
one
went
Haley.
back to Miami, and she is dating Carson Beck.
And
he decided to go there because of her.
Oh, I did not know that was.
Oh, is
the
that real?
Carson
I didn't know
connection.
that was true.
Her and
That's
6
why I'm
million other
learning it.
reasons.
I learned it.
Her and 6 million. Yeah, 6 million other reasons he went to Miami. That's right.
I don't know if she's at TCU. Maybe it's the Horned Frogs playing next
What
Monday
is
night.
that too? That's why he went there.
Well, maybe, and you get Ruben Bain and like 9 other dudes.
That
go to
helps.
TCU.
And then some freshman named Malachi Tony. That's pretty good. That apparently is the 60th best player in Florida. In this recruiting class. It's like, well, if there's 60 or 59 better players than him in the state, that's one hell of a recruiting class. What did you learn from the weekend, Michael Darcy?
I learned that Juwan Jennings has the same amount of touchdown passes in the NFL playoffs as Justin Herbert, and he also has the same amount of 15-plus air yard completions tonight, more than Jalen Hurts and Justin Herbert combined.
Wow.
That's QB1 right there.
Oh, my God. I also learned after that pass that he was a 5-star dual-threat quarterback
ahead
out of high school.
of Joe Burrow.
Was he really?
Yeah.
And who was the other quarterback? It was Joe Burrow and
That's funny.
Desmond Ridder, I want to say.
Yeah, I can't remember who came out at the time, but he went to Tennessee, right? And then he was like a dual threat quarterback, 5-star Juwan Jennings, and now he's that guy in the NFL. Throwing touchdown passes, great throw to Christian McCaffrey. We head to the funniest from the weekend. We start with you, Sterling.
Yeah, after the Eagles lost, they were interviewing some 10-year-old kid, and he looked about 10. This is what the child had to say after this game.
The child.
I want A.J. Brown packing his bags, and I want him somewhere else that is not here. I love you, A.J., but, you can't make those drops in that game. And I also want Kevin Patullo flipping burgers at, the local McDonald's or something. I don't care.
Why do you say that?
Whenever he's an offensive coordinator, it's like he's flipping burgers. One side, he's cooking. One half, he's cooking. And the other half is completely raw.
I love Eagles. That's just how they build you in Philly. Just 10-year-old kid just roasting A.J. Brown and their OC. Loved it.
That's great. He will now be a star in Philly. They're going to have him on radio stations. The TV stations are going to have another interview.
He
with
might be
him.
a security guard again next year.
Could be. I'm
he
not
might be the
sure.
new head coach. Who
He's-
knows?
Yeah.
Lil Dom.
Lil Dom. There you go. That's what his nickname is. What's the funniest for you from the weekend, Mick?
So they interviewed Ole Miss quarterback coach, I believe, Joe Judge, former Giants head coach, former Patriots staffer, about the crazy week it was with Ole Miss leading to the playoff and guys coming and going, players, all that stuff, the Lane Kiffin stuff. They asked him if it was been the most hectic week of his life, and he said, "My next door neighbor was Aaron Hernandez." but this was more chaotic.
Okay.
Wow.
That puts it into perspective.
It put it into perspective how bad it is down there at Ole Miss.
Okay. That does.
My next door neighbor was Aaron Hernandez, and this is more chaotic.
Yes. The quarterbacks you were thinking of, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, and Sam Darnold. Jawan Jennings was a higher ranked.
Where did he go to college then?
Tennessee.
And he was a receiver the whole time? Did he came out as a quarterback?
No, he came out as a receiver, but yeah.
Well, was that because Aaron never took out the trash and never mowed?
No, he did once. If you watch the documentary, he did take out the trash. So did his girlfriend. And that's on
a couple things.
That's on camera, and that was evidence.
Just never mowed.
Yeah. That's right. No, why would you? The funniest for you from the weekend, Michael?
Did you guys see the brawl that took place at a youth hockey game?
No.
Oh, my God.
Halftime of an NHL game, they did a Little League youngster hockey game.
No way.
How old do you think they were?
I would
10-year-old?
say
Same kid this time in the Philly?
Yeah, 9 or 10.
Same kid is the Eagles fan. He's part of
it. Was this in Philly?
Young enough that, like, the punches wouldn't hurt, but they were going at it.
I'd hurt a 10-year-old.
Where were they at? Do we know?
See this.
But they did not drop the gloves, though. So they were hitting with gloves and the helmets were on. So I was like,
They pull the shirts over the head.
There was no sweater pulling in that one at all.
That's always great when that happens. I'm just like, man, that's
a
just
little ground and pound action. It was.
Yeah, it was. It was quite the brawl by the little kids. Yeah, my funniest from the weekend is. So I don't know if you guys have seen this story that's going around that Indiana's been cheating. That Indiana has now gotten to the Chiefs level because they are accused of cheating. That they have broken in, they have been able to hack into the cloud system of every team they're playing, so they know the opening script. They know every single
play. That was a fake account, though, right? They put that out there?
There is no evidence to cite that actually happened.
Okay, yeah.
But it is now being used as evidence of, the refs want the Chiefs to win, so that's why Indiana's so good. So Mike Ryan, who works with Dan Lebitard, is a huge Miami Hurricanes fan, and he tweeted out, "I'll spare Indiana from the narrative. It's not my place to say if they do or don't, but in case they do, I'll spare them time and effort and reveal our greatest secret. We're running A-gap." And the defensive coordinator for Indiana said, "Thanks for the heads up, sir. We'll meet you there." You know what?
That's pretty good.
I appreciate the IU defensive coordinator playing into the whole conspiracy that they've been tapping in the cloud. Thank you, sir. We'll meet you there. But I just love that. Hey, by the way, here's our secret. We're running A-gap. Mitchell up the middle. That's what we're going to do. There's our game plan, sir. So, yeah, that was funny.
I saw that fight that Darcy sent the video to.
Uh-huh.
There were, no refs involved.
no
one was there.
It's the kids.
It was just the kids.
We're in the octagon.
No coaches came out. There was 12 of them just absolutely throwing hands. And I think it was in Pennsylvania. I think it was Hershey. It's like the Hershey Bears halftime. So I'm assuming that's close to Philly. So
the first guess I would have is
that's right. Yes,
it's a couple hours, but still
nice.
We'll count it.
We go to the best from the weekend. Mick, your best.
So Thursday and Saturday, the Pacers got wins over Charlotte and Miami, which meant Rick Carlisle now has 1,000 career wins, which was good because he was stuck on 999 since December 8th. They had lost 13 straight. Once he hit 999, the Pacers had lost 13 straight to go from 6-18 to 6-31, but they finally got a win, and he got his 1,000.
Imagine if you get fired
for a full month.
Yeah, you get fired. You're like, well, hey, we got to move on. Now you can fire
him.
Just
keep me on for one more win, and then I'm out of here. Okay.
Yeah. That's what I would say. Yes. Now I got to go. It's like when Jeff King got the 10 years in the middle of the season for the Royals, and he retired immediately once he got the 10 years in Major League Baseball. Yeah. Best for you from the weekend, Michael?
Well, the Bears beat the Packers, and the last time the Bears beat the Packers in the playoffs was 1 week after Pearl Harbor. It was December 14th, 1941, at Wrigley Field. The Bears beat the Packers in the playoffs. So that was a
early playoffs,
a big-time win for them.
Wow. That's my main takeaway was December 14th, the early playoffs.
Sterling's main takeaway was, what was Pearl Harbor?
No, I read books.
Okay. And that's a day that will live in infamy in Chicago. That's what they've said. It's one of the main sayings they've said there. Winning that game. My best from the weekend happened on Friday night. D'Angelo Pons had the interception, the pick six, to start the game for Indiana. He scores the touchdown and celebrates and drops the football. The Oregon ball boy equipment person goes and immediately scoops it up, because they have their own footballs. It's got the, O, and they got the logo on and everything. And so nobody thinks anything of it. Game's over. The equipment manager for Oregon walks over to D'Angelo Pons and gives him the actual football for the pick six after the game was over.
Oh,
and they
that's
caught it on
awesome.
camera. They happen to just be going through and scanning, and they see he's handing him a football, and they stop on it. And D'Angelo Pons was like, "Oh my God, thank you so much. I appreciate that." But that equipment manager, you getting your butt whooped could have been totally petty,
totally
bleep you. But kept
Gave
the
him the
football
wrong ball.
separate too.
What a nice guy. That's cool.
It's really awesome.
I always appreciate, and it's the equipment managers and the managers themselves as well, when they'll go on the road and they'll get their butts kicked or whatever. There'll be big controversy in the game, but then the home team will go in the visitors' locker room, take a picture, and it's an immaculate. It's as clean as when they found it.
Those are great.
So, yeah.
Yep. Best for you from the weekend, Sterling.
Blue Hawk Saturday.
Oh,
Had
yeah,
a great
that's
time.
right.
Went to Blue Hawk, went bowling, some
you beat up on
crazy
some
darts,
kids in
laser
laser
tag.
tag?
Yeah, we were like, hey, we want to see those 7-year-olds. Put them in there. They're red. We'll be blue. We're gonna kick their ass.
So
Turned out
you
to be a hockey
graduated.
fight.
You were hanging out with older people then
Yeah.
once you found the 23-year-olds.
What a day for you! You just spanned the entire.
The entire gamut was
Wow.
there. No, it was a blast. We had a really fun time, and I love. It was packed. They had a huge wrestling tournament there.
Oh, wow.
So there was ton of folks. But yeah, Blue Hawk, we had a great time.
By the way, what a great idea to have a place like that hosts different tournaments, wrestling and volleyball and basketball.
They had
and you've got
Kansas State wrestling, high school state wrestling was at Blue Hawk last year.
Yeah. And then so the parents don't have to actually watch their kids.
Yes,
That's
right.
just such a great idea. You can go and watch the game or beat up on some kids in laser tag like Sterling does, or play the new bowling that's got the strings attached to them, they dance around like Pinocchio and stuff like that. That's cool. And the
They
crazy
make fun
darts-
of you when you gutter.
Yes. They jump out of the way and clip their heels. Gotcha. What's crazy darts, by the way? I've never played it.
So, you can do real darts on it. So you have metal tip, steel tip darts, right? So it's not plastic. They're steel tip darts. You have a wall that is made out of. See what we have in this room? Almost this soundproofing material is what it almost feels like.
Yeah.
And they have a projector. And
So it's just somebody out there just yelling at you about things that are actually bothering about their parents, but they're taking it out on you.
Yeah.
The projector.
Projecting.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they have this, and they'll have
You hate
these
your dad.
moving
Imagine your dad,
targets.
not me.
I love that you ask a question and then I just can't even. They're moving targets, and somehow it will pick it up that you'll have to hit these moving targets with these darts, and it is eerily accurate. I don't get how it
I'm
works.
bad at regular darts.
Yeah, I know, right?
I'm horrible at that.
You got to
It's
throw the darts
so
at moving
fun.
targets.
At
though.
moving targets.
Dude.
It's so much fun.
If you were good at duck hunt back in the day, I bet you could kill at that game, man.
That's basically it's almost like a duck hunt type thing, but with darts. It's really fun. It's an absolute one of my favorite things to do. There is crazy darts. There's so many different games you can play too.
By the way, Mick, you'll appreciate the Stranger Things, the season finale, when they make the duck hunt reference of can you even handle a gun? He was amazing at duck hunt.
Oh,
I
I
am pretty
remember
good
that.
at duck hunt.
Yeah.
I am pretty good at duck hunt. Yeah, this is different. Not duck hunt. Yes, duck hunt reference. All right. We'll take a time out. What was that, huh?
Nancy Wheeler's the best shot I've ever seen.
It's amazing, right?
Crazy how far she's come.
Yeah, right. Just spent that whole summer just learning how to be apparently a military sniper. Just an assassin. So
Killed a lot of military people too. And
Yes.
just fine. You're allowed to.
yeah,
You're fine.
and
You're not going to jail.
most just recent graduate high school kids, girls that have never fought or anything, typically spend like a summer and come back and take out military trained individuals
You're pretty good at it.
their entire life. So yeah, that's everything about that was believable until that. At that point, I'm like, okay, I'm out.
This isn't real.
I've suspended reality this entire time for a demigod and an underworld and the hive mind, but she's killing military? No, I'm out. I'm out. This is not real. We'll take a time out. We'll come back. More on next. Hanging out with Mick Schaefer. He's presented by Advent Health Sports Park at Blue Hawk. Who do we got tonight? Texans, Steelers. It's right here on Sports Heavyweight, Tim.
Your pick. And
my
was
Super Bowl
it,
pick.
Jalen's pick? Did he pick that last night, or was it
he
Daniel?
Picked Steelers. Jalen picked the Steelers. It was Daniel that went Bills.
I like the Texans. The 4 units out there, the Texans defense is by far the best, I think.
Yeah.
So.
I agree.
But.
Uh-oh.
Big buts.
I'm gonna be the dumbass that rolls with the veteran, ancient Aaron Rodgers. I'm going with the Steelers in this one. I shockingly think I trust him to make fewer mistakes than C.J. Stroud.
Oh, I do too.
I like the Texans as a team. You know my thoughts. I love Will Anderson. I think they're a fun team. I just think that this time around, I'm gonna roll with the Steelers. I think Mike Tomlin finds a way to at least win one game in the playoffs. And I think
it's the last time Rodgers had a win in the playoffs.
It's been a while.
Feels like last year in Green Bay. Did he?
I couldn't tell you the last time that Tomlin had a playoff win.
His last year in Green Bay, I think, is when they lost the divisional round.
Yeah.
Did they get the one with the quarterback got rocked right before half when all you had to do was not give up a touchdown? He was like, "Hey, what if I just give up a touchdown here?"
Yeah, that was in 21, because in 2020 is when they lost at home to the Bucks.
His last playoff appearance was 21. His last playoff win was 2020.
Okay,
Wow.
so 2020 they lost to the Bucks in the championship game, but they won the divisional round game. And again, this is what I talked about Matt LaFleur. He's 3-6 overall in the playoffs. He's 1 win in his last 5 years. 1 win in the playoffs last 5 years, and he will always have on his resume against the Bucks. Down by 8, 4th and goal from the 8-yard line with 2 minutes to play, and he kicked a field goal. And they lost by 5. Did not get the ball back. And you've got Aaron Rodgers. You kicked a field goal. 4th and goal from the 8.
So I'll be the dumbass and roll with the Steelers.
Okay.
Love that for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Good for you.
You're taking Texans.
I'm taking the Texans, to go to the Super Bowl. So looking forward to that Steelers-Patriots matchup on Sunday. And at that point, I'm just going to pick the Broncos to go to the Super Bowl because my Sterling stamp.